stopping us now. Ain't nothing stopping us now. Keep running, we coming. We got nothing stopping us now. Keep running, we coming. Ain't nothing stopping us now. Keep running, we coming. We got nothing stopping us now. have forever. Maybe I could take your pain and turn it into pleasure. Into pleasure. As time goes by, my love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too. As time goes by, my love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too. Just say that you'll be, say that you'll be. I'd be there for you whenever you need me. But you've been holding back. Maybe you're just not ready. Baby, do you feel the same? Or do you feel the pressure? I promise I can take your pain and turn it into pleasure. Into pleasure. As time goes by, my love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too. As time goes by, my love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too. Deep minds, we were forced to be alone. Unknowns and nowhere is the same. And even when it seems like there's no way out, we'll grow a little closer. Through water, we flow. All of us together, we're good, we flow. Nothing is the same, but I won't hold back. I won't hold back. I won't hold back. 'Cause we're better together. Better as one. 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 Deep minds, we were forced to be alone. Unknowns and nowhere is the same. Grow a little closer, we're water, we flow. All of us together, we're good, we flow. Nothing is the same, but I won't hold back. I won't hold back. I won't hold back. Cause we're better together. Better as one. 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 why did you say goodbye? It's better to say goodbye. Why did you say goodbye? It's better to say goodbye. So why did you say goodbye? Quiet like the ocean, with the rumble running deep. This is how I see you, when you hide your feels from me. Why you heavy-hearted? Cut the silence, talk to me. Release your mind, get what you need. Easily, we've been falling in disbelief. I think I'm ready for another try, but this feels like the last time. So why did you say goodbye? It's better to say goodbye. Why did you say goodbye? It's better to say goodbye. So why did you say goodbye? Ain't nothing stopping us now. Keep running, we coming. We got nothing stopping us now. Keep running, we coming. Ain't nothing stopping us now. Keep running, we coming. We got nothing stopping us now. Ain't nothing stopping us now. Keep running, we coming. We got nothing
waiting here for a little while. Keep me on my toes, 'cause that's just a start. Baby, can you make your move? 'Cause we don't have forever. Baby, I could take your pain and turn it into pleasure. Into pleasure. As time goes by, my love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too. As time goes by, my love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too. Just say that you'll be, say that you'll be. I'd be there for you whenever you need me. Whenever you need me. But you've been holding back. Maybe you're just not ready. Baby, do you feel the same? Or do you feel the pressure? I promise I can take your pain and turn it into pleasure. Into pleasure. As time goes by, love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too. As time goes by, my love grows stronger. Can you feel it the same way I do? As time goes by, I can't wait any longer. Just say that you'll be with me too.
Move the work and I'm out of here. Murder the tune, it's a body here. Reviving the beat and it's right back to sleeping. I use a technique that ain't got me here. Whoa. I'm 10 feet ahead of you. Catch me in something you'll never do. I turn around.
هيا بالفعل وايد شباب الطرف الاول الثاني
This is incredible. It's how it goes at the top.
الفي ممكن يفعل اللاعب الاخير امام اللاعبين كثار كثار كثار
I give it. Look in my eyes.
يعملها مؤمن ولا ما يعملهاش هي اليمين ولا مين
I got a lot on the line. This with a different approach. All this spend time in the boat.
شباب مروان من يلقى الكروت الان يحب النيد ما تقولش في الحضان يعطيها تقول لا هي للاحلام.
Hello and welcome back everybody to our fourth day of the PMPL Africa Fall 2022 season. And we're back with all the action the Africa region has to offer. Yesterday, we saw the players from Triple Esports stealing the show as they got two winner chicken. Picked up the first one over on Erangel and followed that up with a little bit of that Miramar action as well. We also saw that Kao was absolutely cracked coming through with their DBS skills, proving to be quite the contender in yesterday's matches. Now today we'll see how far those gun skills are going to be going, and of course how far all these teams are going to be pushing themselves and who will be ending up at the very top. My name is DK, and with me I am joined by the one and only Ez Proxy. Now Ez, that was a little bit of a slow, delayed stating on your name there. And, you know, we got to add these extra elements of surprise. But yesterday, it was absolutely on fire. Now, today, we're looking to see if the teams are going to be taking the action any higher.
I appreciate the rhyme and I appreciate the time it took you to put those together. But yes, yesterday was an incredible day in terms of aggression and energy that the teams brought forward. I mean, we obviously started with that Sanhok right off the bat, so the teams definitely had an interesting warm-up day. But I'm very curious to see how today is going to shape up. As we've mentioned, we've got Titan and Triple and all eyes on them, as we are going to have quite an interesting Erangel day, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm just very curious if we're going to see that same level of aggression today.
Yes, and of course, speaking about which, we are going to be hopping straight into our format to see and remind our viewers of just what exactly it is the teams are going to be working their way on through, right? We have done away with the super weekends, so we are left with 5 days of action, nail-biting action to be exact. We, of course, now on our 4th day of that very first week, and we are going to be repeating that for 2 more weeks after this week has completed. At the end of the week, our top 12 place teams are going to be progressing onto our extra match, which is going to be played over on towards Livik, to see who will be able to lock in those extra few bonus points, as that is going to be the way the teams can get themselves sorted out and established moving into the finals, right? We've now added in those bonus points, so at the end of the week, the teams will get points depending on their positioning and their placement in that week's overall standings.
And of course, right up until Livik, we're going to have the teams pushing for that top 12 placement. So they have an opportunity, one more map of an opportunity to try and get into a better placement of the top 20. So that obviously their points are going to be just slightly better moving into the next phase. But massive opportunity for the teams to take in that foundation into the finals. I feel like that is also going to make a massive difference for some of the teams who found themselves tied last season after all of the games over that final weekend of play. So interested to see how that's going to change.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for them really to try and lock in those extra points to get themselves into a really good standing. But of course, let's take a look at the calendar to see where we are, how many days we still have to go. We are still on our first week. We are, of course, sitting on Saturday. So that means this is day 4, one more day after today. And tomorrow is going to be our first day of 6 games, right? Ending the day off with a little bit of that Livik action. So quite a bit to look forward to as the teams are not only shuffling up at the end of the week, but we are also shuffling up that map rotation on a daily basis.
Yeah, a lot of obstacles for these teams to deal with and a lot of change that they constantly have to adapt to, which is what I love about it, because we've seen these teams really take on this constant change and constant, maps and groups and all of the obstacles we keep throwing at them, and they've taken them in their stride and they've adapted beautifully and actually now started to really show their true essence as we move into this this day of play and obviously tomorrow's day of play. So interested to see if that's going to be the theme that they continue as we move into the rest of the weeks, and obviously after that week break, how the team's going to change their stratagems.
Well, as we already saw, just after 1 day, right, of no gameplay, already we saw quite an aggressive push coming through. Of course, speaking about the push, let's see what these teams are playing for, as we are going to be taking, a bit of a look at our prize pool.
Don't worry, DK, I got you this time. But yes, absolutely huge prize pool, a total of $150,000, with of course the finals being the main focus, as the teams will be pushing and pushing for that first positional place. And of course, the MVP of the season will get that extra $1,000. So ultimately, a lot of money to play for, a lot of opportunities these teams are going to be pushing and pushing as we go through our week's worth of play. And at this point in time, I feel like they've already improved quite significantly, just as our prize pool has from the previous season into this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for the teams now to just push and push, right, with this new change that we've brought into the format. And I have to agree with you, we've been already seeing such an improvement, not only in comparison to what we had last season, but just over these past 3 days of play, right? We had so many teams rising to the occasion, coming in with some really phenomenal plays across the board. As we already spoken about the players from Titan, bring in a bit of a surprise as well. We did see, of course, also the players from Myth bring in quite a bit of a good push all the way up. Slime still being super contentious across the board. So there's so much, I wouldn't say uncertainty, but so much excitement for these teams to try and, just lock in those slots. And the best way to do that is through utilizing our point structure, as we quickly take a look at what the distribution is for those points. As we know, winner chicken dinner on our large maps is going to be worth those 15 placement points. And of course, over on Livik, first place is worth 10 points. but the ever essential 1 point per elimination being brought in. And we see one team especially, we'll have a look at that once we get into the overall standings a little bit later on, but one team in particular have just been absolutely capitalizing on that 1 point per elimination.
It's also been the saving grace for a few teams that have fallen short in terms of those placements with their rotations, or because, well, it's PUBG Mobile and things happen in PUBG Mobile that you don't really have control of. So a lot of the teams have been relying heavily on those elimination points, and they've been making use of them quite beautifully as we move in. Obviously, more aggression, more fights. We always love to see a little bit more of that action. So we get a treat as well, which is always a fantastic opportunity for us. And for the rest of the teams, they have that buffer that they can build for themselves earlier on in the maps.
Yeah, and I mean, especially looking at the level of competition we've got coming through here, it is quite the contentious play. And let's take a look at our teams and their breakdown for this week to see which groups they have been split up in towards. We've spoken in the previous days about the new faces that we are seeing out in this season of the PUBG Mobile Pro League. But by this time, they are not new faces anymore. Instead, they are well-known faces that have been providing quite a lot of action.
Absolutely. And at this one is regardless of the name changes or the roster changes, everyone is fit into their slot. They are in their position for a very good reason. So the teams making a splash that we haven't seen before, now they are just as much a part of this this entire group as everyone else that is here. And what I'm really interested to see is if we're going to continue seeing that consistency coming through from Myth that has been building for the last few days. They've slowly but surely gotten into their groove, and now I feel like they're at a point once again where if they continue this, it's going to be a very interesting next couple of days of play, as well as Titan and Triple, who just had such an explosive day yesterday. As we mentioned, Triple Esports picking up those 2 winner chicken dinners. Titans, of course, being they went from the survivors to the dominators with an absolutely thrilling experience that we saw there on Erangel, taking out those 2 teams, players just single-handedly wiping out their opponents and making sure they were grabbing the most amount of points.
Yeah, I mean, one of the players that we saw doing exactly that was Cow yesterday over on Miramar, just stepping up with absolute insane levels of aggression there, and those gun skills just looking so phenomenal. Unfortunately, that wasn't DPS all the way. That was a little bit of that M4 action coming through, but either way, gun skills being absolutely on point. And I gotta say, looking at the level of performances we've been having so far, the teams continuously look to improve, continuously look to upgrade what it is that they bring out onto the battlefield. And I'm expecting today to be an absolutely insane day as we take a look now at our overall standings to get a bit of an idea as to what the situation is coming in to our 4th day. It is going to be 1 million still sitting at the top of the leaderboard, but that gap between themselves and the teams sitting on the rest of the board has dramatically closed up. As you can see, Titans just a few points away, and that is only 16 points for Titan to try and bring in, and 17 points for Slime 4KT to par up with 1 million.
Yeah, the jump that has to come through from these teams if they want to topple 1 million definitely has to be there. But already, because they find themselves in that top 12, they should have that opportunity for Livic as we move into Sunday's games. And I'm very impressed by, of course, as we mentioned, the placement focus to the eliminations focus. I mean, if you take a look at 1 million, obviously setting up with 90 eliminations, absolutely huge. And we saw that the reason for that being is because, I mean, yesterday, well, not yesterday, the day before, all of the top fraggers that we had, the top 3 were all players from 1 million esports. They were just gunning for eliminations left, right, and center. And we saw that change a little bit yesterday with Titan making a splash, also Morteza coming through from Leaders Esports. So there is that change coming through, and I'm glad that we have these teams catching up. And of course, Slime 4KT only one placement points away from, of course, 1 million esports. So it's a big change coming through.
Yeah, I mean, some pretty strong efforts being brought forward here. And as we are taking a look at our second page now, we can see Wave Esports is still pretty much in contention there, right? Holding on to that 9th position, currently sitting on 98 points in total. They are only 1 point behind Team Myth and Team Soul, who we have sitting up in that 7th and 8th slot. So I think we are going to be seeing a lot of movement come through here today, especially this being the 4th day. The teams have now had ample opportunity to assess the game, assess the lobby, assess the competition. And I'm thinking that we are going to be seeing a lot more of an aggressive push coming through today's performances, right? The team's really looking to hunker down on those strategies.
Absolutely. And push for those competitors, right? We've mentioned this before, that there's no almost just discrimination between who you're taking up against. If you're going to be taking a fight, you need to be ready. You need to make sure that everything is going for your win in this. Make sure that your win conditions are in line and that you are set to take that engagement and win it out, because it doesn't matter who you're going to be facing. You just need to get through it. You need to move on and you need to push for those points, whether they be eliminations or placements. And the teams have started to showcase a better focus in terms of the balance that they're bringing both for placements and eliminations. We still see a few stragglers that really have a massive focus on those placement points, and that is because they managed to absolutely just sneak away into the final moments. But as we move along, I feel that we should be getting those balances coming through.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to be moving into this third page, and this is where we see the teams in a position where they still have to try and kind of hone the efforts a little bit more today, right? We did see the players there from Desert Flame really attempting that yesterday with varying levels of success to that strategy, but we also did see Legends of War actually stepping up their performance, finding a few more eliminations, and this is the kind of improvement we want to see, right? Teams, even though they are not sitting on the most insane amount of points, they are still in it, and they're still looking to bring in that drive, show their resilience, and are still in a position where they could maybe make a run to get themselves situated up into the top 12, right? And if we're realistic, we're not really seeing 17th to 20th place catching up to, for instance, maybe into the top 5. But there's still a very good opportunity for either of those teams to get themselves situated well within the top 12. Because as we know, tomorrow at the end of the day, we are going to be moving into Livik, but only with our top 12 teams. So there is that extra little bit of, I would say, bragging rights coming through, with teams being able to say, you know, in the first week, we're one of the first 12 teams to play it out over on towards Livik. And I'd also love to remind our viewers of our socials, right? So be sure to go ahead and follow us. Also be sure to let us know who you are most excited to see playing it out here, and also who you are here to support. Be sure to include the lovely hashtag. You can see down below the hashtag PMPL Africa. And you can hit us up on YouTube, on Facebook, as well as on TikTok.
Absolutely. Plenty of opportunities for the viewers to let us know who they're shouting for, who they are hoping is going to be making the push in these final next few days. As you mentioned, plenty of opportunities for the teams to shake up their standings, close those gaps, and potentially get themselves in a better position when those bonus points are obviously applied. Hopefully, they get themselves into the top 12, and hopefully we see them bringing those performances on Livik.
Yeah, well, it's going to be quite an exciting one once we get onto that. But of course, speaking about excitement, right, we have to pay the bills here as well. So we have to give a big shout out going out to Monster Energy, who is our official energy drink partner coming through for the PMPLs. So quite a bit of excitement. We, of course, had Monster be part of the event for quite some time already. And aside from Monster, we also have to give a big shout out going out to Oppo. So with Born to Win, welcome to the exciting match brought to you by Oppo. Get your gamer mode on with the much loved Reno 7 series. Now speaking about Reno 7 series, aside from the fact that it is situated right in between myself and Ez, a beautiful display that we've got there, we are also getting ourselves ready to move closer and closer to the action, right? We are warming up the engines over on the plane towards Erangel to see what the teams are going to be bringing on through. And of course, speaking about which, we are going to be taking a look at our map rotation soon as well, right? Just to see what the kind of lay of the land is going to be for this fourth day.
Yeah, so obviously very Erangel heavy, very Erangel focused today. So because we had Triple Esports and Titan Esports be our resident Erangel winner chicken dinner winners, we are heavily focused to see if they're going to replicate that performance today. Are we going to bring that same performance through? Are we going to have those same winners taking the crown for Erangel? Or is it going to be a change and a shift? Also because we had such energetic performances from the teams yesterday, starting off with that Sanhok and leading into 2 Erangels, leading into 2 Miramars. So that energy had a very top-heavy performance right at the beginning, and then it filtered down as we headed into Miramar. But the teams were still, I mean, they were ready for those aggression points. They were ready to take those engagements.
Yeah, well, as we had on day 2, a super aggressive Miramar day, today is going to be a little bit more focus being put over on Erangel. So we've got 3 Erangel maps coming in for the day. Of course, we're going to be starting on Erangel, after which we'll be heading and making our way over towards a little bit of that Miramar action, backed up by 2 more Erangels. after which we'll be progressing into Sanhok to close it all off. And of course, speaking about the Erangel, it is time for us to head over to the match to see where our flight path is going to be coming through. It is starting all the way to what seems to be that western side. So a slight bit of a separated path coming in, focus on towards this western edge of the zone. And it's going to make it quite a bit of a challenge for teams liking to push over towards Yasnaya, Poliana, and those regions. So Slime going to have to move into one of their alt locations, right? They won't be able to reach all the way across. But as we know by now, the teams won't be too deterred by that flight path throwing them, well, a few spanners in the wrench there.
No, absolutely not. They have looked so good in terms of just the adaptation that these teams have been bringing in. What I am curious about is, of course, Super Young Stars in virtual gaming. We've already seen 2 instances where they've taken that Severny, engagement, and unfortunately, in both instances, Super Young Stars haven't really come out the winners of that. They've come out a little bit injured and had to focus on placements for the rest of Erangel. So again, very curious to see if they're going to at least be able to adapt to that and maybe win over virtual gaming, since they are both still heading for the same drop locations.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see how exactly that one is going to pan out. I'm loving this extra bit of a early game aggression that we could be having. But looking a little bit further down, as we have the players there from Arab Golden, and it seems to be Seoul Esports, Weiss dropping down. Maybe they're a little bit AFK or something's going wrong. Okay, well, they're moving. There we go. So we are going to be having a little bit of that southern action come through, but we see the zone taking that aggressive shift, moving all the way up towards the north. And again, this can be the opportunity for that continuation, that age-old altercation between the players here from Virtual and the Super Young Stars, with one shot trying to line up the hits now.
Oh, just massively jumping into the action here. I mean, we've had a slower start from virtual gaming and Super Young Stars before. It's calm, collected, get the loot, then move in with that 2-2 pincer, or, in virtual gaming's situation, they normally like to go for a little bit of those flanks. But wow, the gloves are off. We are jumping in straight into the action. And Gaddafi, I mean, also joining one shot here for this early push and early engagement.
Yeah, gotta love it though. This is a healthy improvement on what we saw from both these teams just yesterday. We know that they both dropped into this exact location, having a bit of a go at each other's throats. And now we get to see who's going to be the victor this time around, and whether or not the players here from Virtual Gaming are going to be looking to push on forward, pick up those elims, and maybe make a bit of a stand, right? But with the zone being so far up north, it's not going to be too essential for Virtual or Super Young Stars to get themselves situated in a different area or a different region. And they could actually afford to disengage, split up, and look to strengthen themselves in a compound not too far away, potentially.
No, they definitely can disengage at this point in time, especially I feel like that is the focus in the back of Super Young Stars' mind. They understand what's been happening the last few days, that they have taken this engagement and altercation, and it has gone in the way of virtual gaming's favor more times than not. So obviously, because of that momentum they started building yesterday, I would hope that, all right, if it's starting to look that it's going to be a repeat of what we've seen before, let's duck out. Let's disengage. We're clearly not in the same position that we would like to be to take this even further, because they can take this fight. It's just about those positions, about those loots, where they're at in terms of those consumables as well, because we're right into a hot drop. So we'll see how they're going to be changing that up as well. Seoul, in the meantime, has also split up a little bit. Now it's Twix that's a little bit behind, similar to Weiss, what we saw. But the rest of the teams as well, they're starting to make their movements into the zone. Whereas Super Young Stars and Virtual Gaming, they're already here. They've got the time if they wanted to.
Yeah, but I mean, I can understand why Super Young Stars are kind of hesitant to move, right? They want to kind of hold on to this compound, to the setup that they've got coming in here. And they're looking to contest against Virtual Gaming because, as we know, yesterday, Super Young Stars, they accumulated a grand total of 27 points for the day, where Virtual Gaming locked in 38 points. So not a big disparity between the amount of teams that between the amount of points rather that both these teams were able to acquire. But still, Super Young Stars in a position where they are looking to bring in that improvement, right? They want to try and lock in more points. So it makes sense to see them being a little bit more reluctant to move and instead leaning a little bit more towards that aggression, trying to find that push on towards Virtual Gaming.
Yeah, I was going to say, I understand it, but Alpha Luigi just jumping in with a beautiful flank is going to make this decision a little bit harder, because now they are forcing themselves. Oh, Ooh, into a 3-1 split, but again, the shotties just come on through.
Yeah, and that's what we love to see. It is going to be Virtual Gaming now trying to rush full send in towards the Super Young Stars. But quite a nice defensive play coming through here, right? Messi is going to be the only one down, at least for the time being, on the side of Super Young Stars. We've got one shot also just trying to convey a little bit of that information, but the shotties are going to come through swinging as Gaddafi steps up with the Tommy gun. Finds a good amount of damage. Nossa now in turn getting knocked right on down, and once again, there's going to be one shot still holding on strong, but look at that. It means Shero almost getting knocked, but just narrowly managing to escape. But it's not going to be the same there for Murd as the hits connect on in, and they will get ripped right out of that buggy.
Alpha Luigi has just been so devastating here for Super Young Stars. The opportunity that Nossa found, that opener, was beautiful, but unfortunately the angles, once again, they're just in favor of Virtual Gaming. They have the backup if needed, and now they can just take full numbers into this last engagement to try and clean up Super Young Stars, which unfortunately will come to fruition here for them.
I mean, this was a little bit of a tough play coming through for Super Young Stars. I mean, like I said, right, I can understand the kind of predicament they found themselves in, but I think where it went a little bit south was where they provided that opportunity for Virtual Gaming actually to get that raise secured, and once they had their full numbers back up and running again, it was just downhill from there, right? They just full send it, closed it up, locked in those eliminations, and send the Super Young Stars backing. But of course, now speaking about backing, we are seeing several teams looking to pack a little bit of heat as they are moving closer and closer towards each other. We see the players from Lag as well as the Legends of War in pretty close proximity, just a little bit further south of where we had that altercation coming through for Virtual Gaming. And of course, we see them now appearing on the screen itself as well. And it seems like it is going to be a little bit of that chasing game coming through here as Lag are looking for the opportunity to find the angles on Legends of War.
Yeah, maybe an early engagement, they can pick up some early eliminations. Again, setting that foundation that has been so vital for so many teams to just get some sort of a point safety net, if you can think of it that way. But Legends of War going to be ducking into safety, and just across the bridge line should be able to get themselves in to a spot of cover here as well. Some more rotations happening on the screen. We do see 1 million and zero tolerance, a little bit closer than I believe they would have liked, but for the time being, we're not seeing any of those shots connecting, so we'll keep an eye out on the elimination feeds as all of these teams rotate on through.
Yep, and here comes the action all the way towards that western bridge. It is going to be VST now, setting up a bit of a gatekeep on the bridge, trying to stop the players from App Golden pulling off a successful rotation, getting themselves ahead of that blue zone. But look at the commitment coming through here from Zuxi, just hammering in head after head. Fortunately for App Golden, it is a little bit of a range, so the shot's not making the necessary connections, and they can actually afford to rotate further towards that eastern side, but they are going to be running into a few challenges once they make it towards that eastern side, right? We know Seoul Esports also now looking to start pushing across as well.
Yeah, and I mean, what is going to meet them on the edge of that bridge is going to be Titan Esports for the time being, who are lingering around just the edge of that bridge, maybe looking and thinking about a bit of a bridge camp here. But Lag also running into Slime 4KT territory, who've just rotated off of Yasnaya Poliana and are just getting a little bit closer to that center line. So if they're not careful, crossing that bridge might meet an early altercation. We do see Soul and Titan just narrowly missing each other, so potentially the timing could be there. I would just be worried about Arab Golden getting in right between the team of Seoul Esports.
Well, I mean, this could also be the turning point for Virtual Gaming, right? We see them rotating out of Savoni, pulling into a little bit more of a centralized position, and it does seem like they are going to be opting for a bit of a play towards 1 million's current position towards Cube there. So it is going to be somewhat of a challenge, but it does seem like they're at least going to be stopping on the ridgeline. The compound that Virtual has actually moved into has been quite the contested position, especially with the zone centered towards this more northern area. But I mean, it's still going to be quite a few rotations to be had here, as we have the players from Seoul, the players there from Arab Golden still situated out in the blue zone. But we are seeing a little bit of the continuation coming through towards the more edge areas on the zone itself.
Yeah, VST, who've just jumped off of that bridge camp, now straight into another altercation here with Myth. And so far, Myth picking up a beautiful set of eliminations, but they themselves have to also recover 2 of their own players. So, unfortunately, for VST, it's going to be down to Zuxi. Hopefully, they will be able to get that time through to get those reses in and get those rotations set.
Yeah, and up comes Farok now, just looking to strengthen up the position here for Myth. This could be a quick little bit of a snatch and go play, but up comes the utilities from Ramsey
Ooh.
right on point, and with that, it just closes that gate right onto VST. Absolute pinpoint accuracy. Wow, that was insane. What a play that is, though. I mean, Myth feeling absolutely amazing at this point. 4 eliminations locked in, and all of that pretty much off of that last nade they got.
Oh, it's brilliant because now they can get themselves looted up and they should have a straight shot into the zone, relatively uncontested because we have a majority of those teams moving in on that southern eastern part of Erangel as they're slowly but surely approaching that zone. We obviously see Lag taking a few, just a few welcoming shots there towards Virtual Gaming, who are also making their rotation into the zone and finding a better position within center parts of the zone as they're closer to shooting range here. Oh, we do have some contention there to the center point of the zone with 1 million as well.
Yep, Legends of War feeling a little bit of that pressure come in. But as we can see, it is going to be Lag now, trying to find a more optimal position to rotate in towards. We do have Virtual Gaming situated just south of them, as you can see, thanks to that mini map. But as we look over on towards the eastern side, it is going to be Slime and Darkness bringing in a bit of a dash, trying to get themselves situated. Cal, I'm not quite sure if they're trying to pop a tire here or what's going on. I know we were talking about gun skills, but that is some pan skills coming in here. Not really doing what it's supposed to at that point. But we do see a continuation of the aggression coming through, right? The players there from Legends of War trying to find an angle to kind of escape towards, right? They've opted for a little bit more of a western rotation, and that led them right to the players here from Blackjack. We're quick to react. MG fell in the process. But at least Blackjack able to lock in those 2 eliminations.
Yeah, my heart goes out to Legends of War because they were literally ping-ponging from one team to another, taking a few shots, then having to retreat, and then bam, straight into another position, another team's position. So hopefully in the next map they'll have a more concrete plan in terms of rotations. Maybe those drop locations aren't just quite working for them, but of course we know it is the zone. It does force a certain kind of rotation. So as we see the rest of the teams now making their approach, I'm curious to see how Darkness and Slime 4KT are going to gel in towards that Severny location for the time being, because they're obviously trying to get themselves a little bit closer.
Well, I mean, speaking about closer, right, we are seeing the teams now having to get themselves positioned much closer rather to each other, with 1 million Lag and Virtual Gaming already being pretty zone blessed there. But this is where things are going to be looking quite challenging, especially for one round. We have yet to rotate from that North George position. The same, of course, can be said for the players coming through from Mad Knight, moving in from that southwestern side. But Zero Tolerance, they've got a bit of a play to be had, right? They are just sneaking their way up from that sunken city, and we could potentially see them just situate themselves on that very verge of that southern side and see who they can find within that vicinity. But up north, it's still going to be everyone pretty much on their own mission, right? Just looking around, looking to see if they can find any movement.
Yeah, I do like the opportunity for Zero Tolerance here just to stick to the outskirts and get some of those flanking positions coming on through. They do have quite a few contenders to deal with if that is the plan that they're going to execute here. 1 million, of course, right up ahead of them. And Myth pulling in just looks like to the side of Rozok, so they should be able to avoid Zero Tolerance. Lag and Darkness once again finding each other, and we don't like falling out of vehicles, do we, DK?
No. I mean, it is a little bit of a oof right there, but it is going to be this opportunity now for Lag to look to see if they can actually dominate and capitalize on the opportunity potentially being presented here, because he Fantasy A9Q at the ready, Gaga also moving in alongside 1-9. And this could be the start of a lot of action coming through for Lag, as they're also in a position where they could benefit from finding a few additional points, but they're not in the worst kind of situation, right? For yesterday, we know they ended up with a grand total of 34 points, taking that 8th place for the day itself. And they do find themselves situated in at least a relatively comfortable spot to some extent, right? They're in 14th, but they've got 60 points, so they could still make quite a bit of a leap up that leaderboard.
Yeah, but it's the final push. It's the final 2 days of the first phase of the weekend. They want to get themselves into a prime position, maybe even getting into that top 12 for that Livik bonus map on Sunday to get themselves as many bonus points in the first phase of PMPL Africa Fall. Of course, Darkness, on the other hand, they have been able to recover some fallen losses, no pun intended, but Slime 4KT now nade to nade trade with Seoul Esports, who Hemo trying to get a little bit of a flanking position here.
Oh, I mean, this could be the play to make. We did see a very contentious play coming through from Hemo just yesterday, but that was over on Miramar. And this is the Erangel, entirely different map. But Hemo really trying to play that more ranged angle on towards Slime. But it does seem like Slime is going to be focusing their efforts on getting themselves situated up in towards that shooting range. And that is quite a difficult position to try and make a successful push on, especially from this more northern angle, right? If the tables were turned, it could have been so much more of a favorable play looking at Slime. But up comes the rush now as Raouf gets traded on down. They are able to secure at least one player in towards that potential subterranean area. But Gao, again, with the DBS, going to be looking to keep the pressure as high as they can manage it. It is going to be Plaza to reach right into Weiss.
This was the player that single-handedly took out Desert Flame Esports yesterday with an M4, and now an M4 and a DBS in hand. Not someone I would want to take a 1v1 with. So Hemo also just holding the line, trying to ensure that they have some sort of an angle here to work with. A Storm Plaza rotate on to a little bit more of that western side, potentially now turning the flank on Seoul Esports and Twix, who's laying in the grasses. A little bit of a potential opportunity here, but need to be hot on the trigger.
Yeah, they definitely need to be super, super hot. As you can see, it is going to be Pronto now stepping up to close that one in. But all this action is, of course, going to be luring in potentially the players coming through from Blackjack. We can see them just situated towards that western side. So this is where Slime needs to be super cautious as they are coming in with a full send, or rather Plaza is going to be full sending it in, chasing Hamo down. And with that, they secure the elimination, sending Seoul right back from whence they came. But this could be that opportunity now for Blackjack to come in with a little bit of third-party action.
1 million in the meantime has been keeping Mad Knight at bay, who haven't been able to make that cross into the zone journey. So they are going to be stuck for the time being, trying to fight it out, and we'll see how that's going to turn out on the elimination feed. In the meanwhile, of course, Blackjack Esports finding the next possible victims in the form of 1 round, who are now down to 2 players.
Oh, Zane now just trying to, fire up into the smoke, looking for those hit markers. But as we jump not too far away over on towards Phoenix, we can see the efforts being continued right here. But Darkness also going to be rolling up, and they could be in contention for the third-party plays. But Zane now holding onto that northern angle, keeping a very watchful eye on Slime. Meanwhile, it's going to be the players from 1 round continue the efforts in a little bit of a strategy here, trying to at least defend the angle they've got. But as we can see, Mohart not yet secured within the zone. So this is looking quite advantageous, especially for Blackjack.
Yeah, Moa, right now, the focus of Blackjack's efforts, just trying to ensure that that flanking position is done and dusted. They have an opportunity here, but Zane going down does mean that this could be the tide that 1 round needs to turn it around. Moa still not in a position to make that dash as those crosses are set concrete on their position, but the turnaround, that is it. Moa now, an opportunity for them to make a dash into the zone, and Blackjack now taking down 2 losses means they are on the back foot.
Oh, but up comes that retaliation as we can see Kronal stepping it up, taking down Moha. Up comes the rest of the squad though, and they are finding the hits. Through comes the buggies, and it is going to be up to Eflex and Chico, but Chico gets traded. Kronal still in play here, and this could be that clutch. It is a 1v1 between them. Blackjack will meet their fate, meet their end as they get sent away alongside the players there from Zero Tolerance. And down we go to only 9 remaining teams. Arab Golden also backing up their bags. But here we jump into Titan and Slime 4KT. 2 teams being situated and separated with only 1 point on the overall standings.
Slime 4KT looking to close that gap as well as Titans. They had such a dominating performance on Erangel yesterday. And once again, we keep finding them in a position where they have to fight their way out. They are in such a crazy situation time and time again, yet they survive, yet they move on. Curious to see if they can replicate this here. We do have Archer already trying to get a bit of a flanking position here, trying to get some sort of a lay of the land and information that can be relayed to the team as they make their approach on forward.
Oh, but as that zone has now situated itself towards the eastern side, this is where I'm really worried about the team situated towards west. I meant the eastern edge, right? The teams on the west now facing quite a bit of a challenge. Mad Knight, Darkness, Lag, 1 million also having to see if they could actually get themselves situated. But it does seem like 1 million are going to be lurking around on the very edge, not fully committing towards that rotation into the zone itself. Instead, they're going to be waiting to see if they can maybe find a few trades onto the players here from Lag, as we've got Gaga and A9Q Now steadily trying to find their footing here. Ooh, Gaddafi getting spotted out in the distance. The shot's not following through just yet, but up comes the rush, though. Marshall steps up and finds to head on towards one shot. And this is now the opportunity for 1 million to just arrive so aggressively, but Venom gets taken right on down.
Gaddafi snaking the grasses as well, looking for an opportunity to stand up and join the engagement. And ooh, beautiful shot there onto Lazy Boy. But Senke here, hot for the approach, hot for the revenge, and Virtual Gaming, well, out and for the count.
Oh, that was such a spray and play. Play and spray and play. Wow, too many words right there.
Maybe.
But yes, that's exactly what it was, right? Mad Knight, in the meantime, will get taken down as Whiskola meets their end, but the shots will continue to rain on through here from Titan, trying to lock it in towards Marshall. Ooh, they find the hit markers. Up comes the knock. And now all the pressure rides down on Senke's shoulders. But as we know, Senke, a very formidable player here, but it's not going to be sufficient as they get taken right on down. Off they go. 6 teams remain to fight it out for that winner chicken dinner. Myth riding on only one player, as we can see quite a few explosions now being sent all over the place, as it is going to be Darkness and Slime feeling the majority of the damage.
Oh, I do love the position that Lag and Titan find themselves. They have such a good high-rise position here just to rain fire down on the teams. We can see 1round and Slime 4KT, who currently find them tunnel visioned with this engagement. They need to finish this off. They need to move on forward.
Well, it's going to be Slime with their backs against that zone. It is going to be 1 round now, looking to tighten it up. But there we go, Pronto getting right on down. It's going to be Moha looking to see if they can find anything else to trade, as they've now been able to lock in an absolutely insane amount of eliminations, right? Sitting on 8, but Titan are currently sitting on 9. They still have really strong numbers coming through here, but 1 round with the 3-player squad here, looking to see if they can capitalize, maybe find a few opportunities along the way. And with that, Titans reach in on towards 1 round and Lag at the same time.
Yeah, Lag was their joining members, was their neighbors here on the high rise, who now, well, it doesn't seem like there's been any sort of neighborly goodness happening here, and Titans are looking to take this real estate for their own as they move into the zone. They know they need to take out their competitors.
Wow, look at the plays coming through, though. Gaga taking several hits of damage there. It's still going to be 1 round held up in the distance, but that is going to be the end of the road for 1-9. As you can see, Teak now just quickly popping in those shots. And this is where Lag finds themselves in quite a bit of a problematic angle, right? Gaga trying to hold on alongside that drop, but now Titans looking to make a play, looking to assert their dominance as they move up in towards shooting range. And again, this is where the whole territory takes quite a bit of a shift, right? We were talking earlier about the team situated towards the southern edge of shooting range, having quite a vantage point down into the shooting range itself. And this is now Titan playing that one out almost to perfection.
Absolutely, and because of the real estate they have, because they're so widely spread, they have a lot of angles they can cover. So all of the stragglers that find themselves within shooting range are in danger for the time being, but Titan choosing their time to get involved here. As you can see, Sykes and Puncher now jumping into 1 round's territory here, just scouting it out, just trying to get that information.
Well, it is going to be quite the effort now having to be brought forward here, as we see Myth and Slime locked into 1 round on 3, and Titans still with that full squad being in a position where they can just rain down chaos on every single player ahead of them. It is going to be Teak now just looking to kind of wrap up that position, just regrouping back with the rest of the team. But Plaza and, of course, Broly are just trying to hunker down in the shooting range itself, utilizing the hard cover they have at their disposal. Out goes the utilities, overreaches a slight tad bit, and that results in Plaza getting taken down as Puncher sneaks in from that eastern side. But 1 round now having the advantage here, right? They've got the elevated angles to play onto Titans.
And that's why Titan have opted for this 2-2 split. So 2 members, moving into shooting range. 2, as we can see, still holding this higher ground in form of course, Sykes and the rest, looking for an opportunity here to just get some sort of a split focus from 1 round so they can look for those weaknesses in the defenses and make their final approach. Now, doubling up on the numbers here, but Teak, in an exposed angle is not going to work out for them.
Well, E-Flex really trying to drive that one home as they now try to lock in that elimination, but that laser focus could be quite detrimental at this point in time. As you can see, Axa coming in with that offside play. It is going to be B6 to send the nade across and finds the knock on towards Moha. Up comes the foresight now from Puncher, looking to drive it home. Up comes E-Flex Knight. They now need to get onto the defensive. Fortunately, these ridge lines are working out in their favor, but it is going to be Titan Puncher also now looking to capitalize on the ridges. Still, we have Miss Broly remaining on towards that very edge of zone, about to get absolutely devoured by the blue zone. Not quite sure if they're going to try and make a play for the money here, but it's going to be Punch now looking to mount the aggression as they finding the angles wide down on towards one round. Knight now trying to hold on for dear life. E-Flex quickly trying to patch up those wounds, and up comes the push once again from Titan. So reluctant.
Titan fully up with their numbers. They're back into the action now, and the nades are just going to rain down as they take out their competitors. Now only the one straggler here from Myth staying in the way of Titans and taking the winner chicken dinner.
There we go. It is going to be another victorious run coming through for Titans, adding their third winner chicken dinner, and of course the first one for the day, but they do so in style, finishing off with 19 eliminations alongside that winner chicken dinner. Absolutely phenomenal play coming through from Titan Gaming.
It was the repeat that we saw coming through from yesterday, because they were such a force on Erangel. They brought in that action, and now they've replicated it coming through today. So interested to see, you know, who's going to stop? Who's going to have the answers to Titan Gaming taking this further?
I mean, really putting a strong effort into a team that is able to come in with such a momentous performance does seem to be quite a bit of a challenge. But what we are seeing, though, is that teams are now starting to develop that kind of flow where they can push through, right? It doesn't stop after the first match. They're actually in a position where they could look to replicate a lot of the efforts moving through into our second match. So a really amazing start coming through here from Titan. It does some absolutely phenomenal things for them with regards to the placements on the overall standings. But we also did see quite a strong effort being brought in there by Slime, right? Really bring in some kind of performance, trying to see where they can maybe clutch it out. Of course, let's take a look at our overall rankings, or at least the match rankings instead, to see how many points the teams were able to secure after this very first game.
It was an absolutely explosive performance from Titan Gaming to start us off with a 34-pointer game with those 19 eliminations. I mean, jumping into those final moments, they definitely played their plan to perfection. They managed to ensure that they constantly had that high rise. We had Puncher taking that quick dash on the ridgeline to get the flanking opportunity here on one round, taking them out swiftly as the team got their losses up, they got their teams healed up, and they made that final dash for victory. And of course, Myth, they had Broly just sneaking in the grass, sneaking in the shooting range, ensuring that those placement points were theirs.
Well, I mean, it was worth the effort, though, as they are sitting quite comfortably on those 18 points. We're going to say a strong effort being brought in, as I said before, by Slime, right? But one round also doubling down, locking in those 8 eliminations. 1 million, securing themselves 6, and Virtual Gaming coming in with 5 eliminations. So we are definitely seeing a little bit of a rise coming through from Myth, as they're also looking to just, you know, continuously build on the momentum going from day to day. And I got to say, it's looking absolutely phenomenal. But we also, you know, need to take a look and see what the situation is moving on towards that second page, right? Those teams that we just saw are the teams that had a little bit more of a favorable position. Blackjack still locking in the aggression. We saw them towards that northern edge of the zone, trying to play out their positions, but unfortunately it didn't turn out too favorable, at least locking in 3 eliminations along the way.
Yeah, it's a little bit of something, right? Anything is going to help you to climb that leaderboard, at least close some of that gap. But the rest of the teams, again, Legends of War, I do feel sorry for them. They were ping-ponging, as we mentioned, from one team to another, taking that damage, moving on, trying to, you know, escape that, and then instantly falling into another team's position. So that all resulted in their earlier fallout. And for VST and Seoul Esports Super Young Stars, the contentions fights that they, you know, actually took up there, either against Slime4 KT, Virtual Gaming, whoever it may be, they did fall a little bit short in that regard, and hopefully they can bring that back on next Erangels, because as we know, we've still got 2 more left for the day. So if they do have that opportunity to play, they definitely will be just pushing it even further.
Yeah, but definitely, as we've said, right, we've seen a few momentous plays coming in. Virtual Gaming really finding quite a few of the eliminations with that altercation. We saw them getting caught up in towards Severity. I would have really loved to see Virtual Gaming succeeding in securing themselves that shooting range territory, but unfortunately there was just such sheer numbers of teams moving in alongside them that it actually proved to be quite of a challenge.
It definitely did. And I mean, just this final moment with Titans making that final dash, that final push into one round's territory. Again, I feel like it goes to show the change that we've seen for Titans. You know, as we mentioned, we started seeing them as the survivors, the team that just will not go down without a fight. And now they've turned into those dominators, the teams that you start to worry about a little bit, because they seem to just always have a plan to execute. And they executed so brilliantly in those final crazy moments.
Titan is looking to become a little bit of a scary team, right? I mean, it seems like once they've locked their eyes on an objective, they will stop at almost nothing to accomplish that. And I mean, should it be a winner chicken dinner, or should it be a compound that they're rushing towards? It is going to be a really tough play. So I'm just happy to see that we are seeing these teams really starting to gain a lot of confidence as they're progressing through the days. We are having that growth happening across the board. So quite a bit of excitement yet to come for our remaining games after that. And of course, speaking of which, we are going to be hopping into a very quick break. So be sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you right back afterwards with our second match of the day. Hello and welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Pro League Africa Fall Season for 2022. My name is Ike and I'm joined by Proxy, and we are just coming back off of our very first match in which we saw the players there from Titan stepping up, showing an absolute insane amount of aggression, locking in quite an insane amount of points, right? Over 30 points in that very first game. I think that might have been our highest placing first match of the day to date. But of course, now we need to see how that then impacts everything, and we'll be taking a look at that very soon. But let's have a quick look at our schedule for the day itself, just to see kind of where we are going and where we still have to play out for these teams. All right, so aside from the schedule, we are going to be hopping into our overall standings then to see what the point situation is and see what an impact that very first match has made.
Absolutely. So Titan Gaming toppling 1 million esports. And we've been asking for the last couple of days, who is going to be the answer to 1 million's aggression? And so far, it seems to be Titan Gaming, picking up 96 eliminations, tied with 1 million.
Ooh, I mean, things are really starting to heat up. And as you can see, Slime also just creeping closer and closer to catching up there with 1 million, being only, well, 12 points away from that position, with Titan sitting 10 points ahead of 1 million, right? So I'm loving the action, these change-ups that we are receiving from these teams. But as we know, moving into our second match of the day, 1 million are going to be sitting this one out, right? They are not going to be out on the battlefield, accompanied by the players there from Blackjack, as well as Legends of War and Team Myth. So they are not going to be having the opportunity to participate in Miramar. But let's take a look and see what the point situation is towards that second page. As we know, we still have a few more teams to go through. And this could be the opportunity now for a team like Wave Esports, for instance, or even One Round, situated relatively close to that first page to make a substantial push coming through in towards this second match of the day.
Of course, we know a lot of these teams are making those pushes to get into the top 12 and ensure that they have that opportunity to play for Livik. But not only are they trying to ensure that they get into top 12, they're trying to ensure that they get as high up on the overall rankings, because that is going to depend on how many bonus points they actually do get awarded at the end. We can take a look at the final page to see who are some of the teams who are going to be focusing on as many possible points as possible moving into Miramar.
Yeah, as many points as possible. There's going to be a potential for our hot seat teams here, right? Legends of War not going to be having a go at Miramar, so they'll be joining us back in game number 3. But this could be the opportunity for Mad Knight to get themselves potentially out of this danger zone, right? They are going to be missing out on the next game, our third match of the day. So this is their opportunity to show us what they've got. And of course, well, it is going to be time for us to move into our Miramar match here, to see what the flight path is going to be bringing on through. It does seem to have a little bit of that trailer park action right down below, coming in on the very, very edge of that zone. And we'll be transitioning into the flight path itself right there. As we can see, it comes in across El Pozo, pulling all the way towards that far southern edge. Now, at this point is, I'd really like to see that zone kind of either being complementary to the flight path itself, or potentially moving a little bit more towards that northeastern side.
I want chaos. I want the northeastern side. I mean, as far northeast as we possibly can take, I want a little bit of that chaos. The teams to be dealing with a bit of an obstacle. Also interested to see if we're going to be seeing Titan taking that trailer park location once again. It does seem like they are opting for it. As we can see, just a sliver of Titans there to the top left. So it will be curious. I don't know. Are you hoping for a little bit of that northeastern zone?
I am indeed really hoping for that. But you know what I'm also noticing is that Titans might not be alone in their attempt to drop down in towards that trailer park area, right? It does seem like we could have a few other contenders dropping in alongside them. So we'll have to keep an eye and see where we are going to be jumping towards next. But I'm loving the kind of drop locations we have, right? A lot of attention being shown there on towards El Pozo. We're seeing a lot of attention coming through in towards those crater fields as well. But it is going to be a nice little bit of a disruption as the zone moves towards the southern south. Now, this is also still a decent phase because it is super inclusive of those southern positions. And as we know, the southern territories are also quite a challenge to play.
Yeah, we've seen some of those opportunities in past season or in the past season of PMPL Africa that were very invigorating, right? We had a lot of teams having to deal with that awkward angle, that awkward, terrain as they move into those final engagements. You had teams just clustered in those little pockets of terrain and needing to deal with a lack of information, rather, because as soon as you peek out your head, there's a bullet flying right past you and giving you a bit of a shave, a bit of a haircut here on a Saturday. So the teams will be interested to see how that's going to shape up, and I want to understand who's going to be taking that first position, who's going to be focusing, saying, well, if we are going to move into this scary terrain, let's rather than go first, let's rather get the best position in that terrain. Worst case, we need to rotate later for the zone, right?
Yeah.
Interested to see if that's going to be a change or a stratagem that they might be bringing in.
Well, I mean, I've got to say, I'm actually quite surprised to see where the teams have decided to drop down, right? We know if the players from 1 million were here, they would probably have moved all the way in towards that Val del Mar territory, as we can see for the time being. Of course, that was entirely open, but a team that actually finds themselves in quite a bit of a golden setup coming in here is going to be Virtual Gaming, right? Up in towards Chumacera. It is going to be smack dab center zone for the time being, and that actually allows them to get themselves set up in anticipation of a little bit of that influx of teams potentially rotating much closer towards them. And then also, as we just saw, the players from Seoul, they've dropped in towards Los Leones. They have that entire region and that entire position to themselves to go about their looting business, with the slight order of Darkness moving in on that far western edge.
I don't think they should be worried about Darkness anytime soon. They are taking a little bit of a slower approach, potentially just sticking to the outskirts of Los Leones. So Seoul Esports, at the time being, should have a good time to warm up and get ready for the onslaught of teams as we move into the later phases of the zone. Titans, of course, taking a road trip into a little bit more of the southern parts of the zone because they did drop trailer parks. So now they have to make a dash for the zone a little bit. And I do like that they're taking this approach because they should be relatively unscathed because no one really comes here. We don't really focus on this. Although Phoenix, zero tolerance. What are we doing here?
Well, it seems like a little bit of a trade-off, right? It's going to be Phoenix getting taken right on down as they fall to the aggression from Titan. But it is going to be a long rotation coming through. And it does seem like Titans could be opting for a bit of a positional play towards that western edge of zone. Essentially even trying to rotate up in towards Val Del Mar. Zero tolerance in the meanwhile are also just going to be trying to explore the area. Not fully committing, but they are looking to focus a little bit more towards that more western side. There is this nice little hidden compound, as we could see them now just going up, getting themselves situated, looking for a bit of that extra loot along the way. But, I mean, out of all the positions we have here, I'm going to be looking towards what Desert Flame's going to be doing, right? We've spoken about Desert Flame numerous times on Miramar. It is a team that we've seen be super proficient on a map like Miramar in past seasons. But so far this season, we've not really had the opportunity of seeing that that shine come through from Desert Flame.
I'm also interested to see if they're going to be going for a bit of that revenge play to Cal from Slime4KT, who single-handedly took them out yesterday as they were remainder with 3 players, and Cal just ran through with an M4, absolutely decimating their positions there. So it stings a little bit that we haven't seen that Desert Flame performance on Miramar just yet. Obviously through the changes that we've seen through the season, maybe there's that warm-up coming through, and maybe they're still, working with some possible stratagems that they might be saving. Who knows? We don't do the strategies here, but I would like a Desert Flame Miramar that we see in ye old PMPL Africa spring season.
I mean, we've got 15 days, so quite a few opportunities for them to try and bring in exactly that. So if it doesn't happen in the first week, we could see it in the second or third week. There's a lot of opportunities for any potential eventualities to come through. But of course, speaking about eventualities, it's going to be up to the players here from Arab Golden to eventually commit to a zone rotation. For the time being, we're seeing them all the way up in towards that La Cobreria position, trying to get themselves sorted out with a few vehicles. It's not going to be the craziest challenge with regards to finding a original path, but if they opt to go alongside that eastern side, they could actually run into Slime4KT along the way. It does seem to be a little bit more of a favorable play to maybe commit to the west, rotating relatively close towards El Pozo, but sticking much closer towards the greater fields.
Yeah, the western part of Creative Fields is a little bit of a safer rotation, at least heading into the zone. Obviously trying to avoid lag, who are situated in El Pozo, but they should also be moving into the zone, coming through into the next couple of minutes to get themselves their own position in safety. Of course, VST and Triple Esports now pulling up on each other's territory. Actually, Triple Esports moving into Monte Nuevo, where VST are currently situated. So I'm curious to see if they're going to be making a little bit of their own debut. As we know, they had a fantastic performance yesterday.
Yeah, this is going to be that proving ground coming through for Triple, showing us what their mentality is coming into today's efforts here. But, right, it's going to be a slow and steady push. Triple Esports playing a little bit more of a calculated approach. You're not going to be rushing in full send. Instead, they're going to be leaving 2 players right there in Monte Nuevo, while the rest of the crew looks to flank around and come in with a little bit more of that eastern approach. I think this could be quite the strategy for Triple Esports to try and utilize here, because as we could see, VST, they've got a lot of their efforts pretty much focused onto Kimo and their teammate 7 Reef right here.
It is curious to see. Ooh, a couple of shots are going to be relayed. Zaxi, in particular, is just giving a few warning shots, saying, listen, we've already got this position. You might want to duck out. And the rest of the teams as well. Still plenty of opportunity. It's almost just there's a vacuum where Titan Esports have situated themselves. So much opportunity in 4 positions and early positions. As we said, Titan actually being the first team to take up that position there towards Val Del Mar.
Yeah, and they could actually be smiling at the end of the day, right? We'll have to see where this next phase will be taking us as the blue zone is going to be closing on through. And speaking about zone closure, the players here from Seoul are well ahead of any potential closures, at least for the time being. As you can see them moving in from that eastern side rather. But we are seeing a slight bit of a convergence starting to come through over towards TEAMLAG, where we have those positions having a little bit of a company rolling in, but also center zone towards virtual gaming, right? We see leaders, Mad Knight, and potentially even Desert Flame looking to test the waters there. But this is going to be quite the comfortable rotation coming through for the players from Titan. They have that clear pathway in towards the zone, and they could potentially sneak right in towards Shumasera. But of course, speaking about sneaking, it is going to be up to Lag Gaga now to rush a bit of a sneak on towards Skydo as they do secure the knock, looking for the confirmation, but not finding it just yet.
Yeah, just on the edge of zone, but the rest of LAC have moved on in, as have the rest of Zero Tolerance, looking to recover their numbers, but an immediate confirmation. Gaga happy to pick up that elimination, and A90 just trying to take a flanking position, a little bit higher ground to potentially take out Lord, who's trying to hide behind that tree. So good awareness from Zero Tolerance here to move on out. They spotted that rotation. Now they're trying to make a dash for safety because there's no longer a point to be here, right? Get the heck out of Dodge, get your numbers, and keep as many players into the next phase.
Look at that. We've got Prada, Paradox rather, positioned way, way up high. I mean, that is only a position you can get to by utilizing a vehicle. I don't think I've ever in my history on PUBG seen someone pull off a position like this. But, you got to give credit to where it's due. And it's going to be Paradox now looking to play that one right down on towards A9Q. Gaga moving into position as well. But Lord going to be keeping their distance, not fully committing just yet. We can see if maybe some of those supportive angles could be held here. But Lag, I'm loving the awareness coming through, right? You can see Gaga try to set up a bit of that gatekeep, and it's going to be A9Q to find the play on towards Lord. And now all the pressure turns on towards Paradox, looking to see if they can make any substantial gains from their current position.
And unfortunately, they don't really have the angle here on A9Q, but that nade, if it does reach, might be absolutely devastating. And yeah, just the lonesome Paradox now having to stay on the top of the world watching, well, how am I going to be getting myself out of here, making a dash? I do want to see them just drive off the cliff and to see how they handle that, because this is ridiculous.
I mean, at this point, the only way down is the same way they got up there, right? It's going to be trying to utilize that buggy. But I mean, A9Q caught in quite the challenging position here. The nades not really being able to reach all the way to the top. And as we did see, if the timing of those nades are a little bit off, it could actually end up coming back and, biting them in the face. So that's not what you want to see happen right here. But it is going to be what we are focusing on, at least for the time being. As we are looking towards the map, we are seeing a few teams strolling on through from that northeastern side. But our main focus with regards to aggression is going to be between Lag and Zero Tolerance.
Which is now currently a stalemate because, as you mentioned, A9Q can't leave because as soon as they do, they give the angle to Paradox to potentially take them out. Gaga can't find an angle on Paradox because of the sheer elevation that they currently hold. So both of these teams now are in a bit of a waiting game, right? Paradox doesn't want to leave and get shot at by Lag. Lag also can't get A9Q out of this position because they will get shot at by Paradox. So now they're just stuck trying to take each other out.
You know what we call this?
You can't get there.
We call this a paradox because that's exactly what it is, right? It's almost like a catch-22, but it is going to be A9Q now trying a few different positions, and we could potentially see A9Q get close enough to send that nade across.
Ooh,
Fantasy now,
maybe.
spending a little bit too much time out in the blue, but does find an angle on towards Paradox. There we go. The damage connects. The shot's nearly landing sufficiently so to find that knock, but it is going to be an attempt now on that vehicle. And should that vehicle go pop, it is going to be the end of Paradox right there. And of course, with that, it is going to be crushing the hopes and dreams for Zero Tolerance. So let's see where Paradox is going to try and push it. Makes a bit of a dash. Oh, up comes the vehicle. What? Almost getting them in. Paradox just narrowly escaping that absolute elimination.
Yeah, but now the vehicle is gone and dusted, so for Paradox, options extremely limited here. So I don't know if they're just going to try and see what damage they can deal to Lag at this point in time, because how do they descend from this now? How do they leave? All that they can do is maybe deal some damage here. If they do take that trip down, it's going to be quite a peril, because I do not see a step down. I do not see them an easy way down.
I mean, I think at this point in time, Lag needs to disengage, right? Because they are expending a lot of their utilities at this point, using up so many meds. And this is actually not the kind of play that you'd like to have at this point in time, right? Disengage, get yourselves repositioned up into a zone, and leave Paradox to succumb to the blue zone, or maybe fall damage, or whatever fate might have locked in for them. But as we continue a little bit further on towards our eastern side of zone, it is going to be Mad Knight and Wave being in pretty close proximity, and somewhat of a contentious play could be had here, as we are having the players from Desert Flame also just situated slightly north.
I do love the fact that we have so many teams already well positioned within the zone. We do have leaders, Morteza specifically, knocked, and I'm not seeing leaders actually making a dash for that recovery for the time being, because there's so many teams situated within this area. So Esports, of course, on round number 2 of trying to redeem their previous performance, they started fantastically on the first day, and I feel like we need another Seoul Esports day, because they have such a beautiful way of executing their final moments, right? They have such a high focus on those sort of expanded plays where they try and just absolutely sandwich the team that they're taking through. So I want to see more from them today.
Yeah, I mean, they have been showing some really good consistency with regards to the balance being brought through with their placement points and eliminations. It's almost exactly on par. It's 48 to 51, I believe, coming into today. So a really good balance being shown there. But I agree, right? We want to see a little bit more of a Seoul-dominated game or day potentially coming in, as the teams are now starting to trickle further and further in towards the zone, looking to see if they can find a few exceptional positions to acquire. But Lag is going to be joining us in towards the zone, as well, as they've decided to rather focus on their longevity instead of just one single elimination. I think that was a very commendable decision to make.
Yeah, definitely. The time that they were spending because of that stalemate, they did manage to get A9Q out of that situation thanks to the flank that Fantasy made. So they gave themselves the space to leave. That it was just up until that point they were like, we want to try and save our losses here. So they've managed to make that happen. Now they're split between either Titan or VST as they approach that new zone that is shifted and is favoring Virtual Gaming, Darkness, Titan, Super Young Stars. I mean, take a pick. Almost all of the teams are finding themselves in the southern position.
Oh, and this is what we love to see, the teams being presented with the opportunity to absolutely go to town. It does seem like Wave finding a few of those eliminations, but it is going to be the Super Young Stars now going toe-to-toe here with leaders. So you can see Morteza, Shadowin, all of the players on the front line. They are just lighting this position up. Mollies sent all over the place. Up comes Shadowin, trying to close it up. We can see if they can find those trades, but all their hopes and dreams now rides on more, as we can see the push comes in. A little bit of a quick response coming in with that utility there. Grenade try to find the damage, but it is going to be Gary Boy to just rush on forward. And with that, try to secure those points. Of course, now Triple Esports looking to step it up with a bit of that third-party action. 7 Reef getting traded down. But it is going to be leaders now having to lick their wounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Get the HP bars back up. Get those reses coming on through. Because, again, 7 Reef, they pushed on a little bit too close. The rest of the Triple Esports team are a little bit more, further back, trying to hold a line as they slowly but surely approach. And now, of course, going for that res. And then they need to make the decision of how they are going to approach it. Because, as we know, this position is within zone. So there's a lot of teams that could jump in for another third party on top of this one.
Yeah, at least for both leaders and Triple Esports, it is situated slightly further north. So the teams will really have to commit to that to get all the way towards there. And speaking about commitment, it is going to be Arab Golden now having to commit to an aggressive stance here, as we do see them getting rushed by VST, just pushing on. Up we go, though. The trades connecting on through. It is going to be VST now being put on a slight bit of a back foot. We do see Hainsley and Zuxi scattered around the building here. Ooh, up comes the nade. Is that going to be the one? Finds slight bit of damage. Hainsley almost getting traded down before rushing back into hard cover. But up comes that positional play. It is going to be Zuxi to get traded. And it now turns to Hainsley to see what they can bring together.
Zuxi trying to make the dash to back up their teammate, but Teak just ready for the action as the confirmation comes through. And now Arab Golden with a 2-on-1 scenario. Hainsley now looking to at least replicate Zuxi's performances in the past, clutch this 1v2 and go on further to carry the VST name. But the push is just absolutely phenomenal from Arab Golden, and they will live on with 3 eliminations. Desert Flame in the meanwhile also taking some action here from Wave Esports.
Yeah, but Titan not backing out of any opportunities. You can see them already sitting with those 2 eliminations to their name, but up comes the nades now as Storm sends in the absolute devastation, finding 2 knocks on towards Desert Flame now, looking to snuff them out. Almost getting the head and the confirmation on towards DWAS, but there we go. It's going to be a slow, steady bleed out as Desert Flames now make their way on back. Wave looking to bring in a bit of a stand as they're going toe-to-toe now with Slime. Slime riding absolutely high already with 3 eliminations to their name, but how many more can they secure?
Yeah, Wave finding a perfect sandwich opportunity here as well as Slime 4KT. Desert Flame sandwiched out into the lobby, and Wave now trying to make an approach up into this position, especially before leaders make their rotation back. Bronto, out in the open, and that's going to be a great opportunity, but they still have to make a dash up this ridgeline if they want to get into Slime 4KT's territory. I don't think they can.
No, they definitely will not be able to pull that one off just yet. It is going to be Plaza with some really long-reaching positions here, setting up those nades, finding the damage. As we can see, Zakaria is down, but now it rides on Rhino, looking to see if they can piece this one together, but out comes the bait and switch, and off they go. Wave getting taken out in that 10th position, at least securing themselves 4 eliminations. But now as we move into our final 9 teams looking to duke it out for that winner chicken dinner, it is going to be Titan once again finding themselves absolutely zone blessed with their position. A few players starting to fall to the blue, but look at leaders now trying to make that dash. The vehicle getting dealt with, blowing it up before it gets blown up, and B6 feeling the grunt of the aggression coming through here from Triple Esports.
Yeah, they jumped into, because again, Titan, they're in the zone, but they had to make a quick dash, but they made the dash as individuals in the cars, trying to prolong their numbers, and because of that, Triple Esports coming through with the better numbers, they can take on a 3v4, a 3v1, a 2v1. They have all of the numbers to work with here. In the meanwhile, while in the back end, we do have 1 or 2 of the Triple members just chucking nades to try and keep off the rest of Leaders Esports from joining them.
Well, I mean, so far, Titans being reduced down to 2. That is going to hamper a little bit of their approach. But speaking about approaches, Soul trying to find those gains on towards Virtual Gaming. But one shot just so deadly with those utilities, finding the nades. Quite a bit of damage. It is going to be Twix down. One shot finds some retaliation. Up comes Rauf, trying to see if they can ride this ridgeline. Hemo alongside them to provide that additional support. But this is where One Shot and the rest of Virtual Gaming needs to be super careful now, because all the action, all this fighting is drawing the attention of the players from Slime 4KT. We can see just over towards that northern position, and this could be a few of those long-ranging hits actually now starting to connect up.
Yeah, and Virtual Gaming, it's delaying their push into the zone, at least into a better position within zone, as I think at least part of these buildings should still be relatively in zone. Ooh, Hemo now making the push up here, trying to get a position, but Virtual Gaming, they just have the perfect height advantage here.
Yeah, they just capitalizing on those ridge lines, but look at the reach coming through as Teak sends it up all the way from Titan. So quite a long-reaching altercation. Finding the connections in, and that was the vulnerability I was talking about for Virtual Gaming, right? All the action is drawing quite a bit of attention towards them. Soul now in a position where they could still make a bit of a play, eventually looking to find that escape pathway, but it's going to be Slime and the players from Leaders Esports situated just in front of them, providing quite a bit of a damper to that role. But Virtual also now in such a sticky position, not really being able to secure themselves a decent rotation.
Yeah, and in the meanwhile, Titans right alongside Leaders Esports taking control within zone. Soul Esports trying to get out of a sandwich here between Virtual Gaming and Slime 4KT. And Storm just jumping up with a beautiful connection there on towards Twix, potentially onto Rauf as well.
Oh, this is going to be the play now. Soul trying to push on forward. It is up to Rauf, the final hopeful here. Twix could still maybe get rest up, but I'm not really seeing much hope for that. Virtual Gaming are going to be capitalizing on this quick momentary silence to get themselves resituated and push closer to that zone. Slime trying to see what they can find, sitting with 6 eliminations to their name already. Storm still keeping up a very close eye, waiting to see if they can find any opportunities to drive in. But up comes Virtual, making the plunge. They're pulling in alongside Titan. It's going to be AXA to try and welcome them in with a few of those grenades. One shot, the rest of Virtual Gaming sitting with those 4 eliminations, reaching into the teams behind them, finding a few of the hits, but not securing any eliminations, at least not for the time being. But it's going to be Soul to get taken down as Slime4KT strikes on down, already sitting with 8 eliminations to their name. TEAMLAG is going to be the next one to fall. And with that, we are down to only 6 remaining teams.
Slime4KT running away with those 9 eliminations. Yes, the numbers are looking too great. As soon as they can get that res, though, they will be able to push this even further as they hit those double digits. And 1 round gets confirmed out now thanks to Titan, who are taking control of the southern position. And Gaddafi now, the last remaining hopeful here for Virtual Gaming, who has to make a dash, but they have to make a dash straight through Slime4KT territory.
Oh, let's see where this push goes. It is going to be the trade to be found on towards Plaza, getting picked right and up. And this is the opportunity now for Storm to secure that res on their teammates. The hopes, the dreams, all riding on the next few moments as Virtual Gaming gets taken right on down, walking away with those 12 points secured to their name. But Titans and Slime looking to go toe-to-toe. Both these teams situated alongside each other on the overall standings. But up comes the hit as Teak goes right on down. Slime still in it to win it. Let's see, will they get the job done? Oh, AXA finds the spray on towards Storm. Pronto, the final hopeful. Up comes a quick little bit of a trade, some strafing, and that's going to be it. Titan gets sent away. 7 eliminations in 3rd place. But Slime now 12 eliminations strong. It is going to be a 1v2 dance to the death, to the finish, to see if it's going to be triple esports or Slime4KT to secure themselves yet another winner-winner chicken dinner.
And Pronto now just looking for that information as the nades rain on through, and Triple Esports are obviously taking their numbers advantage to the max. Pronto peeking out, try to get that information. A double nade comes through, a nade to the left, a nade to the right. It is going to be Triple Esports to blow 4KT right out of Miramar and take their winner chicken dinner.
Well, Triple Esports driving at home, picking up their 3rd winner chicken dinner for this PMPL, the first week, proving to be quite an eventful turn of events here. I mean, Triple Esports landing quite a bit of damage. As we can see, 1,673 alongside those 7 eliminations. So quite a lot of effort being brought in. And at least I think that was the amount of damage that they were able to find. Either that or it was 1,200 damage. But either way, still some really strong numbers being shown here. And a really valiant effort being brought in once again over on Miramar.
Yeah, we had 3 teams going down with double-digit eliminations. So very top-heavy in terms of our eliminations on Burma, especially when we focus on who those teams were. We had Virtual Gaming. We had, I believe it was also Triple Esports getting very close to those double digits. Slime4KT picking up some fantastic points. And Leaders Esports, once again, that consistency that they brought in those last couple of days of explosive play have now transformed them into a very worrisome opponent as they constantly keep closing the gap.
But I gotta say, I'm loving this approach coming through from Slime4KT, right? As we mentioned before, we did have the players from 1 million showing a lot of aggression, right? Really dominating with those numbers. But Slime, they've been able to be super consistent with their placement, being our highest placing team so far throughout this league. And yet again, they step up, finding even more placement. Yes, they weren't able to secure that winner chicken dinner, but they found also quite a bit of eliminations, securing themselves 12. Those double-digit counts really got to do quite a few favorable things for them. But we did see Leaders Esports doubling down on the efforts, Virtual Gaming also stepping to the challenge. And this is what we want to see, right? The teams keeping it super contentious as much as they can muster.
I love it, and I do love that we are having this final push, this final just energy coming through from the teams as they're trying to get closer and closer to the top 12. I can take a look at those match rankings and just see how exactly the numbers panned out and if the winner chicken dinner winners were toppled because of the eliminations from Slime4KT.
Well, the short answer to that is yes, right? Also, the long answer to that is also then yes. But Slime walking away in pole position there with 24 points secured. Those 12 eliminations really working alongside their placement points. Triple Esports, even though they were able to get themselves that chin dinner, 7 eliminations is not going to allow them enough of a reach to hold on to that position, right? But still, Titans keeping the contention up. Leaders, as we said, alongside Virtual Gaming, really making it super, super challenging. But surprisingly enough, we did see the players from TEAMLAG, right, deciding to rotate out of that western position, deciding to give up the play that they had towards Paradox and rather looking to commit themselves to bring in a little bit more of that longevity, and it paid off at the end of the day, as we could see them still being able to secure themselves at least 2 placement points alongside the 2 eliminations they were able to find.
So very top heavy with those double digits from all of the teams. But as you take a look at the second page, we'll see who the teams unfortunately had to take out to get to these points. Of course, we see Seoul Esports there, who found themselves in that sandwich between Virtual Gaming and Slime4KT, moving on further into Miramar. And of course, Desert Flame, who once again had their hopes crushed by Slime4KT. I'm starting to see a recurring theme here. The rest of the teams, of course, making a little bit of a push into that opportunity to close the gap. Arab Golden, Darkness, VST, picking up some great eliminations. And of course, Zero Tolerance, Paradox, at least picked up 1 placement for being stuck on a cliff in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's the highest value we've ever seen on a cliff position actually being played on here. So, you know, well done to Zero Tolerance. It was not the easiest position to play, but at the end of the day, it was worth something, even though it was a less than favorable position to play at. But of course, quite a bit of excitement coming in on Miramar, as to be expected. But next up, we are going to be moving towards Erangel once again, right? Coming up with a back-to-back Erangel play. And this could be the opportunity for the teams to show their competence and how strong and how consistent they can look to double their efforts, as that's kind of been the theme of the day so far. The teams really showing up, trying to just fly up the overall standings.
And keeping to the theme, I am curious to see if Titans are going to take another winner chicken dinner on Erangel, because it is the green map of glory, and hopefully Titans will be joining that glory as well.
I mean, speaking about glory, again, we need to give a big shout out to our sponsors that are making this event possible. So with that, we are going to be giving our first shout out going to Oppo. And, well, yeah, let's go with Monster then, all right? It is going to be Monster Energy, our official energy drink partner for the PUBG Mobile Pro Leagues. And then, of course, a big shout out going to Oppo. So, born to win. Welcome to the exciting match brought to you by Oppo. Get your gamer mode on with the much-loved Reno 7 series. And again, these highlights is just going to be showcasing a lot of the beautiful performances we had coming through in this last game.
Yeah, Arab Golden especially moving in on VST. And yeah, this is the moment I was talking about. Slime4KT just moving on in Desert Flame, and Virtual Gaming capitalizing on that sandwich that we saw moving into Titans as well. So a lot of unfortunate situations these teams kept finding themselves as they had to make those rotations into the final moments and fight off to the death to get themselves in a potential opportunity here. But Pronto, again, just nade after nade after nade. What are you going to do about that? You can go left, you can't go right, and now you can't go anywhere because there's just 3 on top of you.
I mean, Slime definitely doubling down on those grenade skills, right? But of course, we'll get to see what the teams are going to be bringing through on Erangel. We are going to be jumping into a very quick break, so be sure to stay tuned. We'll see you guys right back afterwards with match number 3.
Stalemate? No problem. Ultimate Arena decides the victor.
Hello and welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Pro League Africa Fall Season for 2022. We've already concluded our first 2 matches. The first one on Erangel, second one over on Miramar. And next up, we are going to be moving straight back into Miramar again to continue on with the action, to see what the teams are going to be bringing through. And of course, stepping into match number 3, we are going to be having the players from Group C sit out on this match. So it is going to be quite an exciting one to see what the teams are going to be bringing through as they get to step through. It is going to be the players from Arab Golden, Darkness, Mad Knight, and Slime 4KT taking a quick little bit of a breather. And I think Slime are actually deserving of a little bit of a breather this time around, is.
Definitely. They've been putting in some heavy work into these last couple of matches, especially on Miramar, picking up those crazy double-digit eliminations. So let's give them a breather, and especially Pronto. You know, he got a little bit naded on Miramar, so he needs some time.
Well, of course, speaking about time, right, it is time for us to jump into that third match as we are coming in from the Malta-powered direction of the game, heading towards the north. You can see just up ahead the lovely Savoni off in the distance there. And there we have our flight path. So a relatively centered flight path coming through, much better than we had in our first visit towards Erangel. But the curious part to this is going to be is where is that zone going to be taking us, and how are the teams going to be looking to get themselves adapted to whatever the zone throws at them. We also see our live ranking on the side there, Titans hitting 204 points.
Oh, being the first team to crack that 200. So, I mean, what a day for them. And of course, they have to keep pushing this because they're not going to be able to play that last day of today. So they want to get as many points as possible before 1 million, potentially rev up those engines. Or Slime 4KT, who are getting closer and closer. Moving into this one, Titans potentially going to be going for an even greater push. And we know they've already got the first Erangel of the day. Why not potentially take the second and make that gap that they have with Slime 4KT even wider? Leaders Esports as well, now in 4th place because of their fantastic consistent performances.
Yeah, but we are seeing a slight bit of a separation coming through there, right? I mean, the difference between 3rd and 4th place currently being worth 29 points, while we take a look at our zone sitting all the way over on towards that western side. Gotta say, I am absolutely loving where these zones are shifting towards. And, you know, it is slightly complementary to the flight path, but not entirely so, as the teams will have to work quite a bit to get them secured. And, of course, it's going to be none other than the Super Young Stars and Virtual Gaming going at each other's throats once again.
I am shocked. I did not see this coming. Ever. I never could have seen this coming. No. All right, but yes, Super Young Stars. We've talked about this again. We talked about this again. I do want to see a change up coming through. They started with a little bit of that good energy, and then unfortunately Gaddafi just came through with an incredible... Actually, it was Alpha Luigi who came in with an incredible flanking position on that roof. And once again, we find them in the similar situation. So they need to keep that in mind as soon as they take this push to virtual gaming.
I mean, this is going to be the part where we get to see whether or not the Super Young Stars are able to adapt to what Virtual Gaming are bringing on through. And, well, it seems like they are mounting quite a bit of aggression here, as it is going to be Shero just quickly fighting that trade on towards one shot. But now, Virtual Gaming trying to continue with the momentum here, right? We still have Gaddafi, Zeus, and Alpha Luigi up and potentially in a position where we could see that roll coming through. Again, Zeus coming in with that flank that we saw Alpha Luigi bringing through in the previous match. But are they going to be able to replicate the efforts once more?
I love it because already we're seeing that change in Super Young Stars. They're getting that elimination. They're ducking into cover. They're focusing on recovering the numbers. They're focusing on keeping themselves as safe as possible. Because of that, they forced Alpha Luigi to get involved, get into the vehicle, and jump into potentially the rescue here of Gaddafi and Zeus, who are holding the line, waiting for Super Young Stars to push into them. Alpha Luigi caught out in the open. This is the opportunity that we want. Super Young Stars ready to turn the tides.
Well, it does seem like the Super Young Stars are trying to be the rising Young Stars as they now just mount even more aggression, right? Alpha Luigi down, slowly bleeding out, and now all the effort turns to Zeus and Gaddafi, looking to see if they can maybe still keep themselves in contention here. But I'm loving this approach coming from the Super Young Stars, just really dealing Virtual Gaming such a challenging hand. And now Virtual down to 2, not a single elimination to their name. Super Young Stars instead sitting on those 2 confirmations, as we can see there. But Zeus trying to find the angles. Up comes a little bit of a sneaky tease there from the Super Young Stars. But I'm sincerely hoping that we're not seeing all of them send around that one particular corner, because that's going to allow for Zeus to just absolutely demolish them.
Yes, this has been the problem, and now we can see the smokes being popped. They're trying to get that cover. Beautiful connection onto Shiro. Immediate confirmation as well. Now Zeus looking for an opportunity here to help Gaddafi, who is stuck in this building. Super Young Stars, they have poked the smokes, and Gaddafi actually jumps out at them, at Super Young Stars.
Oh, but it does seem like Gaddafi is super low with regards to those weapons. So this could be the opportunity, actually, now looking at that smoke being deployed, right? Super Young Stars can capitalize on this fact and push straight on towards Gaddafi, as Zeus does not have a clear line of sight onto their teammate. And now with the additional smoke grenades getting deployed, this could be even better opportunity for Super Young Stars to capitalize on that moment. But instead, it does seem like Gaddafi is now going to be trying to make a run for it, just trying to quickly duck over that ridge and rotate back into safety alongside Zeus.
I was going to say, as you were talking about them building up that courage to take that jump around the corner, they needed to, press on that issue, because Gaddafi was obviously getting ready to make the jump and get out of the heck out of Dodge with Zeus, which they have now obviously successfully done. But it's definitely a winning round, I would say, for Super Young Stars, because this time they beat Virtual Gaming out of the position. This time they won Severny, so they will be quite happy with that one. Just a little bit of momentum they can carry, further into the rest of Erangel, and they still have 3 players to work with. So very, very good work for Super Young Stars for immediately adapting their stratagems.
Yes, I mean, I still feel there is still some room for adaptation to be brought in with regards to what we just saw unfolding there. Hopefully we see that improvement coming through as we move into our next match, right? That match number 4, where they have yet another opportunity to potentially go at the same play once again. Hopefully it could be that improvement coming in, but we'll have to wait until we get to that point. In the meantime, it is going to be the players situated over on towards that Georgiapol area, being the players here from 1 million. As we can see their statistics, they're sitting on an average of 9 eliminations and a fairly decent amount of damage being dealt as well, right? Just over 1,400 on average. So that means that they are quite active when we see them on Erangel, but we are yet to see them succeed in finding a winner chicken dinner for today.
Yeah, for today. And I'm curious to see how they're going to rev up those engines. As we mentioned, Tyson's busy building that gap between them and 1 million. And of course, the rest of the teams like Slime 4KT also looking to topple those standings. So very interesting point that we find this in, because we've been waiting for those answers as we've been moving through the week. And we'll wait and see what the rest of the teams are going to take on in terms of the challenges that have been put before them. The rest of the teams also making some beautiful rotations. 1 round Legends of War now in a little bit of a tussle here.
Ooh. Yep, that's what we want to see, right? The opportunity for Legends of War to just show up with a little bit of additional aggression. But here we go. So far, so good. Ooh, there we go. Everything now riding on Roja. And that is going to be it. They find the hits, they find the points, and they lock in 4 eliminations, getting that squad wipe. And this is the kind of, BBA we want to see come from Legends of War. BBA, of course, referring to bounce back ability.
I love it. I do love it, because Legends of War, we've been needing some good splashes from them, right? They need to make a massive push, especially where they're currently sitting on those overall standings. And what a way to take out your first team. So beautiful work from them to manage that building and manage all of the angles that they had to work with there. So wow, okay, we've had some very surprise performances from teams changing up, the status quo, if we can talk about it that way. And they've come with some surprising performances. Now, that zone, of course, shifting a little bit more to the southwestern point as the blue is closing in. I'm curious to see who that's going to be favoring currently, because we got quite a bit of a just northwest to southeast pole of teams currently situated and taking placement within zone.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few territories that could be played at this point in time. We see the players here from Myth now just rotating through Pachinki with Wave. Not too far away, just situated towards this northern side, but not within line of sight of each other. So it is going to be a little bit of tranquility coming through, at least for the time being. We can see the players there from Super Young Stars now starting to descend a little bit from that northern territories. But Leaders Esports, at least for the time being very centered up. But Triple Esports could now have Soul Esports rotating right up towards them as we wait to see where this next phase is going to be taking us.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a reminder of what we saw in the previous Erangel, but of course, this is going to favor, the zone shift is going to favor Super Young Stars making their approach into the zone, northern parts of the zone as well, thanks to, the zone shift. 1 million is going to be celebrating. They might be able to even take an Everest position here.
They definitely could, as we know. 1 million, they kind of like their Everest position, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it is going to be quite the congested territory to be played within that center zone. We've got Zero Tolerance. We've got the players there from Legends rather, of War. We've got Virtual Gaming, Myth, all of them in pretty close proximity. So there's going to be quite a bit of pressure situated in center zone. But as we now look over on towards that eastern side, there's going to be Lag and Blackjack rotating up, trying to see if they can find those good entry points and a potential position to move into from here. And I'm thinking that they could maybe be looking to take the plunge either towards Pachinki itself or to the compounds just to the north of Pachinki.
And a little bit of bad news for Desert Flame Esports. They're obviously down to one member, where Titans are currently actually circling. So Cluster is stuck there a little bit just outside of farm, and Titans are just circling around that position. I don't know if they're actively looking for Cluster, but they can definitely bet that they are currently lying low and hoping to hide it out while we rest on the rest of the teams making further rotations in. And Leaders Esports now taking a little bit of a touch thanks to those nades flying on through from Seoul Esports.
Yeah, this is what we want to see. We want to see Seoul regain that momentum, look to push it up. But I mean, Leaders Esports definitely a strong contender here. They've been showing some great plays over the previous few days and really building up a nice steady flow of action. But as we can see, it does seem like they are not too interested on taking this altercation with the players from Souls head on. Instead, they're going to be trying to just maybe spread themselves out a little bit more to cover more angles and find a few better opportunities down onto the Soul team.
You know what? I keep wanting to call Weiss YC because of that extra Y in their name, and I feel like they're doing it on purpose. We should just call them YC from now on, you know? Just, it sounds very cute. YC. I like it. But the rest of the teams, of course, moving in. Broly actually making a surprising scouting position here towards Zero Tolerance. Very close and personal to their compound. They obviously are aware of it. We do see Paradox looking for a bit of an angle there. Phyonix also just behind the door, waiting to jump in on the action. Should some shooting, conclude, they can get that double angle and hopefully find something here to work with Myth. Myth actually investing heavily into this compound with Zero Tolerance.
Yeah, I mean, we can see those investments coming through, but this is going to be the opportunity now for the players from Zero Tolerance looking to see if they can find any substantial points, right? They are still trying to get themselves away from those lower positions, and they have quite a bit of work still ahead of them. As now, right, 47 points strong. They could maybe try to find a few more, but it is going to be a very bumpy start. As Skydo, though, gets taken down, as Myth is not going to be allowing any of these plays for the time being.
No, of course not. They want this compound. They've moved into Zero Tolerance territory, so they want to be ensuring that they take out as many as possible. But Lord now just absolutely on its tear with Paradox. Myth down to only a leg to stand on in this compound.
Oh, but this could be that play now. I mean, I'm loving the fact that Zero Tolerance are really starting to spread themselves out, slowly reducing the players from Myth now down to only 2. It is going to be a lot of pressure coming through on towards Farok, but they need to be careful because Legends could be trying to make a bit of a push here as well. Well, yeah, let's see where this goes, though. I mean, Leaders also pretty close to them, situated just towards that southern edge. But out comes the heads up. Paradox not being caught out on a cliff anymore. Instead, steps out right into the battlefield and finds the sprays. But this is kind of the retaliation that we want to see come through from a team like Zero Tolerance.
I mean, they've picked up a winner chicken dinner before, right? So we know what they're capable of. And they have just scared Farok into making a rotation out of there, just trying to keep the Myth name alive. So they will be very happy with their placements. Cluster from Desert Flame still stuck in the zone, as well as 1 million, who are making a bit of a later rotation. So those two teams will, of course, be just straggling on into the zone a little bit later than the rest. And I'm interested to see how this potential contention with Seoul Esports and Triple might actually just come to fruition, because as we know, they're sitting in nicely in center zone. It's a very good position to potentially be able to hold.
Yeah, definitely could be a nice position, but I don't think it's going to be all too nice, though, because we still have many teams to take the plunge and get themselves situated in towards the zone itself. I mean, looking over towards Chopsticks, we can see the players here from Legends of War and Soul keeping a very close eye on each other, but neither team really going to be pushing it too aggressively. And this is where we want to see Legends of War now capitalizing on the fact that they already have 4 eliminations to their name. Maybe they could line up a few more, but it's going to be quite a bit of a challenge looking at the spread of teams in the vicinity, and adding Soul into that mix could be quite exciting.
Absolutely, as they pick up a couple of few beautiful shots towards Blackjack Esports. No connections just for yet, so Zane will be very happy with that. Hopefully they'll be able to get out of that situation and just meet up with the rest of their teammates who are situated a little bit further out. As we can see, those zone rotations still moving on in a very big cluster of teams here towards the eastern side, where we currently see teams like Lag and Titan taking up position and taking quite a few shots as they're trying to open up space.
Oh, but this could be the opportunity now to take down that potential threat coming through from Titans. We can see Teak just slowly bleeding out off in the distance. The rest of the Titan team going to be looking to find another rotational play to make here. Opting for a little bit of the hiding positions in this lovely bowl that they've got on the edge of that zone. But now Blackjack moving up a little bit more assertively, coming in alongside the players there from Seoul. And this could be that opportunity. We see Klasa also just positioned over on towards that eastern side. So Desert Flame still keeping themselves active within this match, right? Not going to be allowing themselves to get taken down by the blue zone, but Lag now in an opportunity where they could actually put quite a bit of a stopping force to the Titan team.
I do like the opportunities of so many teams now being able to stop our forerunners on the overall standings. And as we can see, Super Young Stars also make a great rotation into Gatka, just alongside Legends of War. Two teams, as we said, we've been waiting for them to step up alongside Zero Tolerance. So, I mean, all of these three teams, I'm very much keeping my eye out for. 1 million and Virtual Gaming coming through from the western side of this zone. Could be a very interesting take, as we do see Triple Esports not far off, so might see a little bit of contention as they try and make that push into zone, trying to get themselves into position. And again, that southern eastern point of the zone just absolutely just flustered with teams trying to get into position.
Yeah, and it's going to be quite a bit of action coming through on that front. But as we did see also, right, Legends of War and other players there from Super Young Stars in a position where they could actually look to capitalize on their positioning in this phase. Titans, for the meantime, though, not going to be looking to push up too much just yet, right? Are going to be riding out that timer, waiting for that blue zone to start closing on up. It is, in the meanwhile, up to Team Mist now, who gets eliminated in 14th position with 1 elimination to their name. But we are also now waiting to see whether or not the players from Lag are going to be stuck in this position, or if they're going to be looking to push and get themselves resituated in that zone.
I do like the position Seoul Esports have here towards the southern part. Again, they were the trifecta, you know, between Legends and then Triple Esports also now joining the fray. So again, going to cause some contention as these teams start moving on in. We see 1 million now looking towards Virtual Gaming for a potential couple of eliminations. Titan now being the stragglers on the outskirts as they slowly but surely move into the zone, just trying to take account of what is ahead of them, because we know it's absolutely packed if they should come through from this eastern side.
I mean, I do think it was a good approach to take initially, but we'll see how that one pans out for them as they are about to meet a little bit of opposition. But speaking about opposition, Virtual Gaming also now taking quite a few losses here, trying to wrap up this altercation with 1 million, but 1 million just making it so difficult to get a good foothold, a good standing, and a lot of pressure now coming down onto Zeus for the side of Virtual Gaming. Only 1 elimination this time around. Not the kind of eventuality we want to see play out for them. But speaking about that, it is going to be leaders now in a bit of a confusing play here, right? Titans managing to sneak right on through, at least for the time being able to get bunches situated in the zone, with Lag following up right behind them.
Yeah, unfortunately, they had to drop a couple of players as they tried to make that rotation in, and Lag now moving in on leaders' territory. And you can see the territory coming on through. Wasted is a little bit out towards the outskirts for a potential flanking position here, but Shadowin not in a position to really jump into this action, for the time being at least.
Yeah, instead they are going to be running to get themselves secured into the zone. Lag playing a very low down game here, not wanting to put themselves at a disadvantage. Instead, they are trying to reach across with those utils, but for the time being, as we can see, right, leaders instead just quickly retreating, getting themselves secured back in the zone in anticipation for that assault, that push, that rush coming through from Lag. Let's see whether Lag will be able to succeed in locking this position down, as Wasted now keeps a very close eye on them, just keeping that trigger discipline pretty tight. Oh, let's see, could this be the play now? I mean, it does seem like Lag is potentially trying to just taunt Wasted. There we go. Yes, a little bit of a bait and switch, and a snatch comes through, and they secure at least 1 elimination, reducing leaders down to 3.
Ooh, I do like the position they find themselves in. Leaders still trying to fight back. There's a buggy in your face. And unfortunately, that will mean Carry Boy is going to be going down. A retaliation from Gaga as well as they go down. But now all of the damage is being dealt towards 1-9. And the rest of Leaders trying to hold on to the situation.
But look at Lag, right? They are stepping it up, just sticking it to Leaders, finding head after head, and now all comes down to Shadowin, getting it reduced from 4 players down to only 1 in a matter of moments. It is going to be Lag just looking absolutely amazing. But it does seem like it is going to be Shadowin to make that dash towards the zone, trying to pull in towards that eastern side. Lag now needing to bring their players back into contention, but they still have quite the favorable play to make as Gaga is just getting raised up, but down they go once again. That blue zone is not going to be anybody's friend at this point in the game.
No, absolutely not. Unfortunately, just a little bit of time that they needed to just finish that off a little bit sooner than they would have had themselves in a better position here. Of course, Wave now moving in on zero tolerance territory, finding Skydo with an immediate confirmation to follow suit. And Lag obviously needing to join this party as well, so they need to just try and navigate the absolute insanity that is all of these teams clustered here towards the southern eastern point of the zone, moving into the safety of, well, potentially Triple Esports, potentially Blackjack. I don't know. You have to take a peek right now who you want to take on.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a difficult call to make, but up again, we see the players from Wave coming in with their strategies, trying to bring in some form of domination, coming in on the edge of zone. Meanwhile, it will be Leaders Esports to get confirmed up, and off they go. Oh, Lord, taking quite a bit of damage, but a quick response coming on towards D3S. Oh, zero tolerance being dealt an absolutely devastating hand as they get taken down in 10th place with 4 eliminations. But the action will continue towards that southern edge between Soul and Blackjack.
And of course, our highest placing teams, it's going to be Titan in first and Triple Esports in fifth on the overall rankings. They have a target on their map as they lead into this next phase of the zone. The rest of the teams still, however, need to find a good position. Blackjack on the outskirts having to fight their way through Soul Esports, but MG just taken out almost immediately.
Oh, that's not the kind of role we want to see. Blackjack now just being forced down onto that little corner position. Not the easiest play to make a stand from, but they will maybe find a bit of a saving grace as Soul is getting distracted as Lag is now starting to move forward. Titans, however, will get taken down. Wave now looking to push a little bit further towards the zone, but they are, of course, now having quite a few oppositional players up ahead. You've got 1 million and Triple securely situated. And this is going to be a fight for the teams on this eastern side to find that rotational pathway back into the zone once again.
Yeah, moving in, as we can see, Wavy on the western side with all of these teams joining them, trying to find an angle in, but they have to fight their way out of these contentious spots because if they make a dash for the zone, they're just going to get taken out in transit. We can see Lag now being taken out, confirmed back into the lobby as Soul Esports is on a little bit of a tear. They're picking up some good eliminations. They're picking up some good momentum here. They just need to be able to move this momentum into the zone.
I mean, speaking about momentum, right? Wave already sitting on 7 eliminations. That is looking absolutely golden for them. But now they got to pick up the pace, push in towards that eastern side, rather, of the zone. But Blackjack having a very challenging position right here. As we can see, Corona trying to hold on. Zane coming in with that buggy. Does get spotted on out, and down they go as Soul Esports steps up to the plate here. Hemo finding a beautiful spray, and this is the kind of continuation we want to see now come through from Soul.
As you mentioned, on the eastern side, moving on through, and it's just absolute chaos. And all the way from the west, Triple Esports, they reach out to get a few eliminations just to steal them from the clutches of Soul Esports, but who now do have a clean dash into the zone if they can find a gap from Triple Esports' crosshair. Legends of War flick out in the open, obviously trying to get a little bit of information. Powerboy now having to move on through to try and get that res, but Legends of War had a fantastic position up until this point that now the zone has taken away from them.
Well, they're having quite a bit of a challenge being dealt at them right here. Also now 1 million feeling a lot of the pressure as Triple Esports come rushing on forward. All the hits connecting on through. It is going to be up to Marshall to keep them in contention here. Out comes the nades, up comes the dash now. As Triple Esports look to push on forward. Oh, Marshall trying to keep up the defensive, and down they go. Triple Esports riding super high on this one, sitting on 5 eliminations to their name. Wave now coming under pressure as we can see the shots lining up in pretty close succession here. Rhino is going to get knocked right on down. but they still have 3 players up, but they've got 13 eliminations secured to their name. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Wave kicking up a storm right here.
I do love this situation. So yes, Wave sitting on 13 eliminations as they move in closer and closer to Seoul Esports. They're trying to take territory, but of course Triple Esports just on the back line is going to find Sakira. So now Rhino with a back foot is going to try and get that trade, but the split coming through from these 3 teams is going to make it so difficult to flush out these players.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a bit of a challenge, but up comes the shots now once more. It is going to be Wave looking to get this edge of the zone locked on down, looking absolutely formidable at this point, but Soul still pretty much in contention here, right? Only 3 eliminations to their name, but that's not going to halter them from pushing on forward, finding the angles on towards Ivar and Hemo. Now just bringing in that representation for Soul.
Ooh, I love this. Seoul Esports just on the cusp of taking something away from both Wave and Triple Esports as they move on in. Triple Esports now down to only a Seoul member trying to stay alive, and Wave an immediate turnaround here to Seoul Esports.
Oh, come on. This could be the play now. Let's see whether or not the Wave is going to be able to get themselves just to dominate this play. It's going to be Vibes down on the position here. Oh, this could be the end for Triple. Not yet. Zakaria, unfortunately, can't shoot through trees. Very, very lucky position there for Triple Esports. But that's not going to stop Zakaria from pushing on forward. And Seoul Esports still in a position where they could swing on through, pushing in from that eastern angle. But here we go, right? 3DS on the front line. Spots out an opportunity. Picks up Rauf in the trade.
Ooh.
Down goes Hemo. Now it's up to Twix. Looking to see if they can pick it up alongside Weiss. But this could be the opportunity come in. Zakaria completely isolated on their lonesome. Oh, and down they go. Triple Esports secures that victory. Well, not the victory, but secures the play to take them down to one of the only teams in contention now for that winner chicken dinner. It is going to be a 3v2 play in favor of Seoul Esports to move in. And Triple Esports just slowly but patiently lying in wait, looking to see what Seoul is going to try and bring through.
That push couldn't have come at a better time because now they hold that zone. Now they hold that control of the next possible phase. Now, Weiss, Hemo, they need to move on forward. Twix just on the outline, trying to find an angle here to either Seb and for Momo, who are sitting behind these vehicles. They have so much cover to work with here. And all they need to do is sit and wait for Seoul to make a move. They have to descend down this mountain, well, down this hilltop, to get into a better position. And as soon as the zone starts moving on through, that is going to favor Triple Esports to not only have the cover, but they have the space to work with.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't have the numbers, but as we know, at this point in time, the numbers don't matter all too much. It's going to come down to how they are able, rather, to prioritize these altercations, and it is going to be 7 Reef to take quite a bit of damage. They get knocked right on down, and this is the golden opportunity now for Seoul Esports to just come rushing on forward, looking to close it out. They find a little bit of damage, but down goes the knock. Weissy gets traded. It's now riding on Twigs, looking to come up the aggression side there, and it is going to be Weissy to close that one up, picking up the victory play for the players of Seoul Esports, securing themselves an absolutely glorious and such a contentious winner chicken dinner.
Thank you for calling him Weissy. Firstly, I'm just going to say thank you for that. But yeah, Seoul Esports coming through, and this is what we were waiting for. We wanted a Seoul Esports dominated Erangel, and they did so. Not only were they able to help take out, our previous Erangel winners, which is, of course, Titan Esports, but they came through with a very, very good performance here, and picking up those eliminations against Triple Esports, who had a very formidable, position on that position. So I'm very, very impressed to see Seoul Esports handle that situation, because that zone was really favoring Triple Esports in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, ask and you shall receive, right? Seoul stepping up to our request, but also a very favorable play for themselves there. And I gotta agree, this has been such a beautiful performance coming through from Seoul. I mean, yes, even though they didn't have the most advantageous position moving into that last phase, the numbers advantage working in their favor, they were able to kind of just make it so dang difficult for any oppositional plays to be had towards them. And they just stepped up, they demolished it, and they locked in that winner chicken dinner. And I think it's at this point where Seoul are going to be feeling quite comfortable with their performance, that of course being their second winner chicken dinner. But that could also see them advancing much further into those century counts, right? We know coming into this match, they were sitting on 100 points to their name.
Ooh, so close. And again, it's just allowing them to get higher and higher up in those top positions, because that's at the end of that Livic, game, at the end of Sunday, those bonus points are going to come through. The higher you're on those overall leaderboards, the better you're going to be off for the next phase and as we move into the finals, of course. So fantastic performance to come through from Seoul Esports, making a splash once again, which is what we've been waiting for. And not only that, but they took out the previous Erangel winners from yesterday, which is Triple Esports, also holding the line in those final moments. So making a bit of a statement as well. So looking at this now, we've had this beautiful performance coming through from Seoul, and we're going to move on to, of course, a little bit more action, a little bit more opportunity for them to showcase these skills.
Yeah, and I mean, moving into our fourth match, which is going to be Erangel once again, right? We don't have the players from Seoul participating in this one. They're going to be sitting this one out alongside one round TEAMLAG as well as VST. But also got to give quite a bit of love going over to Oppo once again. So with Born to Win, welcome to the exciting match brought to you by Oppo. Get your gamer mode on with the much loved Reno 7 series. Now, we've seen a lot of that love being shown as the players from Seoul stepped up, looking to secure themselves a decent finish, knowing that they're not going to be playing in the next Erangel. I think that was a really strong effort being brought in, and they are going to be capitalizing and smiling all the way to the end of that match. But this is going to be also then that opportunity for the teams that missed out, right? Arab Golden, Darkness, Mad Knight, and Slime 4KT now looking to bring in. And in the meantime, we are going to be taking a quick look at our match rankings.
Yeah, let's take a look and see how that Erangel panned out for Wave Esports, picking up 16 eliminations. So they topple Seoul Esports from that winner chicken dinner. And oh, wow, what an absolutely dominating performance coming through from them as well. Seoul Esports, of course, in second place with that winner chicken dinner and 22 points. And Triple not far behind with 19 points, thanks to the eliminations they picked up as well. So what I also love to see is that we have, teams like Legends of War, Super Young Stars on this side of the page, making a splash and making a bit of a statement.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we want to see splashes. We want to see statements being made, and the teams still have opportunities to do exactly that. So big ups to Wave for creating a few waves along the way. But as we've seen also then, right, players there from TEAMLAG still putting in strong efforts alongside Triple and Soul. But we need to see a lot more of that being brought in as we move through to our final two games of the day. So the teams that are yet to play those final two games, it's going to be more than enough opportunity to bring in that, right? Erangel followed up by some Sanhok action. It's going to be resulting in quite a bit of excitement. But we also need to take a bit of a look as we move a little bit further onwards, right? To see not only the situation up on that first page, but also take a look and see who ended up on the second page and with how many points they were able to get themselves situated. The zero tolerance, even though they got taken out a little bit early on, they still put up quite a bit of a fight, and they were able to lock in at least 5 points to the name.
Yeah, look, we do unfortunately always have to have teams on this side of the page. Someone always has to go out one way or another. So, I mean, looking at this, Zero Tolerance once again showing a little bit of that energy, picking up those great eliminations, not unfortunately being able to match that with the placements, but they'll pick up points one way or another. Leaders Esports as well. I feel like we found them in a very opportune moment. We saw them being able to, take it a little bit further, but again, just with the sheer amount of teams that came through with that influx, with that focus on trying to get themselves in a fantastic position, they weren't able to match or to get themselves set up quick enough to be able to match that. We had Shadowin, of course, looking for positions on the eastern side, trying to find, the next opposition for leaders to take placement and territory in, and then bam, they're right into a contentious fight. They're right into an opportunity that they have to deal with.
Yeah, of course, speaking about the opportunities, we are going to be taking a quick opportune jump here right into our highlights, in which we can see the players here from Leaders of War really bringing in, those eliminations we saw them securing. And this was kind of a beautiful performance to have them actually have at that point. We want to see a little bit more of that momentum being brought forward as they continue to move up and up. But 1 million rather, now, not having too much of a favorable position situated on towards this northern side. But again, right, this is speaking to just how tough the competition is moving into this PMPL Africa.
I mean, the change-ups that we've seen from these teams, the top three we were talking about on Tuesday versus the top three we're talking about now, has obviously shifted and changed. The teams have obviously stepped up their game. They, brought the performances that we would expect of a PMPL Africa stage, and this is what just generally does happen in the first week. How that's going to shift going into our next maps, how's that even going to shift going into tomorrow's games, especially with the addition of Livik for those bonus points, we don't even know. We can't give that information because the teams have been breaking our statistics from day number 1.
Gotta love it though. I mean, and it's great to see that change up, right? We've been speaking about this a little bit, touching on the point that we've been seeing that growth come through from the previous season into this season. But what I think has been really healthy for this season of PMPL is not only the addition of the change up that we've had in the format, but also the change up with new teams coming in, bringing that extra bit of spice and making it so more challenging for the teams to, just keep on with their consistency and, again, try to bring in that extra bit of dominance.
Absolutely, and this is what we love, because not only are these new teams joining the fray, not only are they bringing their own experience, their own stratagems to force the teams into some awkward positions where they need to adapt, but they did so beautifully with such a bang that the rest of the teams got taken a little bit back, and they're like, whoa, where's all of this coming from? We can take a look at the overall standings to see how that shifted after that last Erangel, but I am very impressed with a team like Titan Gaming, who joined the fray and have made such a splash.
Yeah, I mean, Titans definitely making an absolutely phenomenal splash coming through here. But as we are creeping closer to our next match, right, this is where we're going to be seeing what efforts the teams are going to be looking to bring in. Seoul securing themselves at least up into that 7th position with that winner chicken dinner, 122 points to their name. So an absolutely glorious performance. But we are seeing yet another team featuring on that first page, being there without a chicken dinner. That is, of course, going to be none other than Wave Esports. But let's take a look and see what that second page is and what the situation is currently going on there.
Team Myth, sitting with those 2 winner chicken dinners, we've seen that consistency start from them, and they've built up that momentum to carry that on through. Virtual Gaming, of course, made a bit of a splash, but they did have quite a tough fight to take on Super Young Stars, who finally had an answer to the aggression they were showing there on towards Severny. Curious to see how this next Erangel is going to shape up.
Well, we'll have to wait and see exactly how that one plays out, and we are going to be jumping straight into the action to see what Erangel has for us. As we can't get onto that third page, but it's okay, right? We are going to be seeing it during in-game. It's going to be on the top of the screen. So it's not that we don't want to show it. We just want to show the flight path as we are getting right into the action. And a very, very kind of deja vu-ish play coming through here with regards to what that flight path is bringing in.
I feel like 1 million is going to be salivating at this opportunity, because Georgia Pool is, of course, right at the end. They're getting a beautiful flight path right to their, favorite location alongside 1 round, who would have been nice if they were, joining the fray in this situation. But as we know, the rest of the teams sitting in a very interesting position. Legends of War sitting on that 20th position right at the end. They started with that previous engagement and so beautifully handled it. I want to see how they're going to bring that energy back and how they're going to continue that energy moving into the later phases of the map, because once again we keep seeing these early splashes of Legends of War, but then we don't see them in those final moments.
It's just finding that continuity, right? But so far, we can really see the effort that they are bringing through. They're definitely starting to close that gap. There was a considerable gap coming into this initial match, right? It was about 17 points difference, but they've been able to close that up considerably, just making so much of an effort to get themselves into contention, right? Currently, they are only 5 points away from catching up to where Desert Flame is situated with regards to points. So there's going to be a great opportunity still in this match to see whether or not that is going to be on the books for them. And of course, after which, we are going to be moving straight over on towards that Sanhok action, and they can continue, right? So 2 more games for Legends of War to bring in that aggression and lock in those points.
And again, the question is, of course, 1 million. How are they going to be closing the gap that Titans seems to be leaving as Titans are leaving as they are running through with Slime 4KT? Slowly but surely leaving a little bit of a gap. 1 million, of course, not too far off, and they're still in a very, very comfortable position. But we obviously want to see the limit, right? We want to be entertained. We want to see them absolutely fight in the first phase of this week. But it's so interesting to see, again, just the adaptation. I mean, even on the first day, I remember towards the end of the day, we started seeing, the teams that were at the top starting to get taken out earlier on, because all of these teams are just so competitive.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking about competitive, right? We've got 4 teams that really need to try and close off their day on quite a substantial note. That is going to be Super Young Stars, Titan Gaming, Virtual Gaming, as well as Zero Tolerance. This is going to be their final match for day number 4. So whatever they can bring on in, I'm super excited to see what that is going to be. As we know, Titan, we've seen it so many times. They're situated right at the top of that leaderboard. With Seoul Esports currently finding themselves situated in 7th. And then as we move a little bit further down, there's quite a few positions to be played at, right? Super Young Stars also coming into this match, situated all the way in 15th, but Zero Tolerance making that push. The efforts they brought in the last Erangel, actually moving them all the way up into 16th.
Ooh, a lot of very interesting changes that we see coming through, and still plenty of opportunity to keep pushing. As we know, Slime4 KT in the last couple of days, they have absolutely been phenomenal in the damage they've just been outputting. As you can see, 1,299 with a few average eliminations of 6.4 on Erangel specifically. So I am loving the fact that we constantly do see them in those top 2 placement points, you know, the top 3, top 4, because they just keep fighting and finding beautiful ways to enter the zone, especially considering they always normally start on your sniper Leon, and the zone is not necessarily conducive to an easy rotation from this position. They have to navigate so many other teams making their dash into this eastern part of the zone, and once again, have to do the exact same thing this time around. And of course, this time, Super Young Stars, they will be left to their own devices here towards Savoni, as Virtual Gaming have gone to Lipovka.
I think they're going to be breathing a slight sigh of relief at this point in time, right? They're just feeling a little bit more confident now that they have the entirety of Savoni to go about their business, get themselves situated and sorted. But also looking over on towards Blackjack, they've pushed in towards Zaki once again. So whenever the flight path allows that, that is where we see them, right? If they can't reach towards Zaki, they normally drop more towards that kind of mansion, Lipovka territory. Not fully committing to one particular location, but, you know, in that vicinity. So it's good to see these changes coming through as the teams are making their way across and through what the flight path does present them with. But also, Team Myth, very comfortable start to this match. Pachinki completely and utterly uncontested.
Yeah, and we find that situation for a few of the other teams as well. Like there's this Flame there towards Katka, also completely by their lonesome. You know, Wave by Rozok, completely by their lonesome. Maybe joined by, you know, leaders a little bit later on who are currently situated there towards school, but for the time being, by their lonesome. You know, they can breathe some fresh air. I am a little bit worried about Arab Golden making their rotation into the zone, because the edge of that bridge, the just there towards Ferry Pier on the main island, is still within the zone and is currently occupied by Legends of War. So they have a very good reason for sticking around for a little bit longer, and that is going to cut into Arab Golden's rotation time.
Yeah, I do believe that is going to cut into it quite a bit. But we are seeing Angelo now taking that plunge, right? Looking to scout out the bridge. And they could be met with, as we said, right, Legends of War waiting in anticipation, looking to see if any opportunities could arise from that. But another interesting position we are seeing is going to be the players from Triple Esports starting to spread themselves out alongside that western position. Not fully committing into a hospital itself, but instead trying to play a few different angles so that they can make some gains depending on who else players venture up in towards their territory. But as we were speaking about the Western Bridge, Legends of War, they have it under lockdown, and now they're going to be waiting in anticipation to see if anyone's going to dare venture up from that southern island.
Very interested to see. Of course, Flick are going to be one of the first right up ahead, just waiting for some cars, just waiting for some pixels to show up so they can start taking aim. The rest of the teams making their movement forward, and interestingly enough, Super Young Stars and Virtual Gaming are finding each other as they rotate into the zone. So, yeah, Virtual Gaming's just made a dash straight to the underside of Savoni, and now they are right in between Super Young Stars. It feels like they have a rematch going here.
Yeah, it's like birds of a feather rotate together, right?
Yes,
as they are doing so side by side. But it seems like Virtual is going to continue on with their momentum, focusing a little bit more towards that western side, where the players here from Super Young Stars have actually taken a quick little bit of a pit stop, pulling into this compound, but then continuing onwards. So this could result in that altercation coming through. And of course, there we go. One shot now just pulling up into the mess here. And up comes the hits, the shots, the sprays. But it's going to be Narsan actually to get knocked down first.
Ooh, Ooh, a little bit of the turnaround, a little bit of revenge from that previous Erangel. Nossa is going to be down. Again, just the cycle from Super Young Stars to see if they can recover. The Shearer is still within Savoni, so they're not in a position here to jump in whatsoever. And now Nossa will be confirmed. Virtual Gaming will be like, ha, we take one of those. Thank you very much. Super Young Stars just need to focus on rotating out of the situation, right? No point in sticking around.
Yeah, I mean, also be watchful of getting distracted, right? Because it's easy to try and capitalize on an opportunity, but I think the key play here would be for Super Young Stars to focus on that longevity, looking to bring in a more substantial performance. As they had a pretty good run at it in the previous Erangel, but they need to double down on that moving into this Erangel. And of course, no surprise to see the players there from 1 million already claiming that Everest position for themselves. But Titans actually now going to be moving in over on towards the edge of that zone, towards that southeastern side, actually pulling in alongside Mad Knight.
And oddly enough, the only other team that I've seen take up Everest before was Mad Knight, so they're not in contention this time around. Instead, focusing here towards Titan, who have taken full control of this compound, now holding a beautiful opportunity now. Again, this contention, this fight, if it does pan out, it is completely without the zone, outside of the zone, the new one. So they will need to at least try and finish it off a little bit sooner rather than later to try and move in and find better positions within zone, as Myth is right up ahead of them, and there's quite a few other teams that could make this rotation harder than it should be.
Yeah, but I do think this altercation is going to be somewhat short-lived because both Titan and the players there from Mad Knight, they know that at this point in time they need to prioritize positioning instead of looking to bring in a bit of an altercation outside of that zone. And it is going to be that blue zone closing up within the next few seconds. They're not in the most ideal angle at the time being. But it's going to be Teak, though, to make me swallow my words somewhat as Ammo Win gets taken right on down. And maybe this could be the opportunity now for Titans to focus their efforts back on those rotations. But they need to be cautious because we've got Myth situated up in towards Pachinki and not yet, moving all the way out of that territory. A little bit further up, we do see Darkness and the players from Desert Flames also now making a bit of a play for that more centered zone.
And of course, closer towards the Sovnovka military base island, we still have Legends of War and Arab Golden just staring down each other through the crosshairs right now, because with a bit of a stalemate, Arab Golden, they know they need to make this push. They're obviously within zone. It's only 2 layers deep, so it's not too crazy, but they need to get to the main island. They don't want to waste any more time, but Legends of War are being a bit of a thorn in their side. So hopefully now with this movement, the shift of the zone, Legends of War will back off, give the space necessary, and Arab Golden can make a push for the main island as we see now happening, and they should be able to do so actually unscathed because Legends of War did just disengage.
Oh, let's see where they're going to be going, though. Quite a few options lay ahead of them with regards to that rotational pathway. Fortunately, they are still able to catch up with the blue zone, and it being second phase is not going to be too detrimental. But what we are seeing, though, developing here is going to be Virtual Gaming and Slime 4KT getting into a pretty interesting angle on each other, but not a full commit. We got Pronto on the front end. Cal Plaza starting to rotate up from that western side with Storm moving in from the north. But Zeus now going to be lingering around out in the field, trying to maybe see if they can marinate something into existence here. But we've got a one-shot and Gaddafi being able to provide a little bit of that assistance should this altercation lead to something.
Zeus just doing a bit of a drive-by, just spotting out some lovely trees here. One of them shot back at them, so I don't think Zeus will be settling here. You know, he's not really impressed by the shrubbery that's happening. In the meanwhile, we do have a few other teams taking up some interesting positions here. 1 million, obviously, with a 2-2 split, 2 right on top of Everest, 2 a little bit closer down to those containers, Georgia Pool. And Teak now finding some connection on towards Mad Knight. So plenty of opportunities for contentions and alterations to start kicking off.
Yeah, and definitely they're going to be looking to kick it off with quite a bit of a banger here. It is going to be Gaddafi now perched up on the roof. But as we jump a little bit further down, it is going to be Titans and Mad Knight still continuing on with the efforts. You can see the teams now having to reposition towards that Everest position. And it is going to be the players there from 1 million looking pretty golden as they are situated up high. Triple Esports still in a very favorable position also, right? Moving in from that western side. But now Titans going to be looking to pull into the sunken city, applying the pressure on towards Mad Knight. But Mad Knight so far giving them a run for their money.
Ooh, I do like this though. Just outside of that sunken city, as we know, making their rotation through. Titans looking just for a little bit of an angle, a little bit of something to pick up those eliminations as they make their way into the zone. So a bit of a pit stop here. Again, though, right after this, to try and get themselves into the zone, there is so many teams that are currently clustering and holding this position in. It's not going to be easy to find and navigate all of these teams, at least at this point in time, as they're still moving closer.
Yeah, speaking about the congestion, it is going to be... Oh,
Whoa,
leaders!
hello.
Shadowwind going for a bit of a fly over there. Right over the top of the place from darkness. But now, up comes Carry Boy just trying to play it up on the roof. Taking a quick elevated position here. Looking to see if they can reach in. But darkness with a near instant spread comes rushing on forward. Iron trying to keep up the defensive front. But it's going to be Ghost to get traded on down. Iron and Zalal now the two hopefuls, but down goes Zalal. Everything now relying on Iron.
Ooh,
as
Carry
he's about
Boy.
to get hit by a jump shot, and Carry Boy carries it through, and off they go, getting sent away, but not before at least finding a bit of a knock there as well.
Oh, that was just chaos. I mean, Shadowwind just showing us, some X Games mode sort of stunt driving right off the edge there, and Carry Boy with a beautiful high position there to carry. Well, the rest of the team into some very good standings. As we can see, the rest of the teams rotating on in Arab Gold and Myth right alongside each other as they take control of these compounds. Just up ahead of them, of course, is Legends of War. Just behind them is Leaders Esports. And here on the top line of Everest, we have a bit of a fight. Finally, someone challenging 1 million for Everest.
Yeah, it is going to be a play for the King of the Hill, as it is 1 million and Wave duking it out. Zakaria taking quite a bit of a beating there as Lazy Boy delivers some absolute blows of devastation. 3DS now just quickly trying to play a little bit of a more cautious position here. Sengate taking quite a bit of damage. Marshall and, of course, Lazy Boy keeping those angles absolutely locked in. And this is a full-on assault coming through from 1 million. So you can see the whole squad just huddling up, trying to keep all those barrels pointed at Wave. And they do succeed, though, with Marshall's nade on towards Ivar. A follow-up nade comes in from Senke, and that is the confirmation in. Wave now feeling the pressure as they're sitting on only 2 players. 3DS about to get rushed. Ooh, quick snatch play coming in. And Rhino providing a quick opportunity for a nice distraction to secure that knock on towards Marshall, followed up by the confirmation.
Oh, I love this zone. This is giving us the action I've been waiting for. I want a bit of a challenge. 1 million, we know they thrive on Everest. And now they need to prove it. Venom coming on through with an absolutely beautiful shutdown there of D3S. Now, Rhino moving on forward has to carry the rest of the team's weight on their shoulders as they look for this confirmation onto Venom. The heads are just sticking out the left to right. It's coming on through, and Wave is going to be clutching it out. But it's only Rhino to carry, as we mentioned, the weight and the dreams of the rest of their team as we move into the zone, and it shifts off of Everest. So now they need to make that descent.
Wow, that was such a play to come through from Rhino. I mean, what a way to just take control. But now as we move on, it is going to be VG. Oh, VGS feeling the pressure. Up comes the Titans. Quite a bit of a defensive position being held here, but Zeus now the final hopeful. Is he going to try and rush forward or rotate away? Does seem like they are rushing straight to the party here. Now Titans versus Virtual Gaming in a 1v1 altercation. The Molly's getting sent out. Let's see who'll be able to get these plays secured in. Quick race coming through. P6 back. Alongside Teak. Oh, yes, the confirmation is in. But P6 now moving on towards AXA. Titan looking to get the upper hand, and this could be that favorable play. Rhino is going to be falling off of the mountain. Down they go. And up comes the rushes. Titans take down Virtual Gaming.
Oh, such a crazy turn of events. But of course, Titans, they've just taken out one. They've attracted a little bit of zero tolerance energy as well, as Desert Flame and Slightful KT are now the next team to take this Everest altercation. I'm loving this. This is such a turn of events, a crazy turn of events from these teams who are still trying to get as much of that height presence into that final phase as possible.
Not only are we shuffling up maps, not only are we shuffling up teams, but we are shuffling up possession of Everest. God, I love it though. But let's see what Desert Flame is going to be able to do with this position, right? Slime with a very spread out approach. Loving this kind of angles they are taking here. But up comes Desert Flame, 6 on the front line. Let's see whether or not they can find any plays. Oh, Blackjack will get eliminated in 11th position as leaders and Myth strike down. But now, let's see where this is going to go. Oh, DWAS is down. Slime, not a team to be reckoned with. And it is going to be another crazy hit coming in from Gal. Oh, DBS for the save as they come up and close it off. It is going to be Desert Flame snuffed out once again.
Oh, someone check Cal's phone. Honestly, this man is just absolutely ridiculous with this DBS. Let's get some tips and tricks here for the DBS from Cal. The rest of the teams, of course, moving in just below Everest. We've got Triple Esports and, of course, Zero Tolerance. As we mentioned, they heard that commotion with Titan Gaming and Virtual Gaming, and now they're looking to get a piece of the action, but I think they might want to turn away. That nade from Teak is just signaling the retreat that needs to happen from Zero Tolerance.
Wow, absolutely insane nade there from Teak, but now it is going to be Kingerman up ahead, and there we go. It is locked in. Titans bulldozing their way on forward, sitting on 10 eliminations, but only down to 1 player. So this is going to be quite the challenge now for Teak to secure any potential longevity coming through for the remainder of this game. Leaders, on the other hand, though, looking absolutely beautiful in that center zone. We are going to be seeing that zone now shift all the way down south, and it does actually move in favor of Myth, but they have to try and deal with this threat coming through from Arab Golden, situated just towards the east of the zone, and they are holding on to some hard cover, so it's going to be quite a bit of a challenge.
Absolutely, and we move this even closer. Myth, of course, here towards the southern part. Titans, unfortunately, getting confirmed out as they made that rotation in. They found themselves a little bit sandwiched, and it is going to be a tough connection to try and find just some location in the zone. As we know, a lot of stragglers just in the outskirts, just holding a position, trying to keep, just everything in check, trying to stay safe, because there is a lot of teams up here and a lot of danger lurking in the grass. As you can see, Slime 4KT now moving up on leaders territory here towards the northern part of the zone.
Ooh, a little bit of an opportunistic angle coming through. As you can see, Cal trying to push up once more. But leaders, right, as we saw then, just for quick, brief moments, sitting on those 10 eliminations, going to be looking to capitalize on even more, still having the full squad up in contention here. In fact, we've got 6 teams sitting with 4 players on their boards, right? The only team that doesn't have 4 players up is going to be Zero Tolerance, reduced down to 1. But let's see where this one goes. Myth looking to lock in that southern angle. Slimes trying to push through leaders, but leaders not giving them the opportunity. And Triple Esports actually now reaching in all the way from the western edge.
Oh, we love this. They've obviously, Triple Esports right now, they've got a great position, but they need to get out of that and get into the zone. No one's actually taking control of center because there's just so much wide open space. It is a little bit of a threat at this point in time. Morteza looking for Zero Tolerance and finding a nice angle. And Paradox just looking for that confirmation, just last bullet to connect and do the damage. But leaders and Slime 4KT, they need to finish this up.
Yeah, Morteza now turns their attention over onto Cal, gets the hit. Up comes Pronto looking to bring in a bit of assistance, but that instead leads to Pronto pulling in right in the scopes there as Morteza lays it on super thick, picking up 2 for 2. Absolutely glorious run coming in here as leaders now look to assert their dominance up towards this northern position of the zone. You can see Storm up ahead, Plaza not too far away. But Triple Esports moving into position alongside them. And it's going to be Gary Boy now coming through with a swing here, finding that knock. And this looks to be leaders' game to take the chicken once again.
I mean, I don't blame them. Morteza sitting on 5 kills alone already, and leaders just running away with these eliminations. Arab Golden now facing off against Myth, who are just jumping out of the bunker to see what's happening on Erangel, and they're not quite happy with their chances right now. They have to take a very good angle here towards Arab Golden. They're looking for those opportunities. How are they going to manage this?
Well, Myth not able to utilize that position 100% just yet, but they still have a bit of a chance here. As we can see, Ab Golden now getting that knock on towards Ban. It is going to be lashing to fling themselves out of the vehicle, but here we go. That Satan going to come through from Ab Golden. 1-8 could end it all for Myth. We can see those attempts getting sent across. Absolute barrage of utilities. For Ab Golden keeping their eyes on the zone behind them as it is now taking a bit of a swing towards Triple Esports. See whether or not Myth could get themselves out of the sticky spot. Still having their numbers up, right? Broly getting raised up, getting re-knocked as the shots continue to get laid on. Leaders getting eliminated, going down. What an insane play that was, though. But now we look onto our final 6 teams. It is going to be Myth trying to make a quick play for that zone. But Arab Golden already there to receive them. The shots connecting on through. And this could be Arab Golden's golden position to play at.
They have had Myth's number as soon as they peeked out of that ridgeline, as soon as they peeked out to try and find an angle into the zone. Of course, Triple Esports still holding center zone. Now for Rock trying to deal a little bit of revenge damage as they find Sin, a good connection, but the rest of Arab Golden should be making a dash into zone. And unfortunately, now they have their backs to Triple Esports, and Myth is still high on their tails looking for this final confirmation. So in a sandwich, they find themselves as Zero Tolerance and Slime 4KT try to join the fray, and Legends of War still trying to find a position up next to Triple Esports.
Yeah, not only are they looking to try and find those positions, but they're also still looking for any eliminations. We can see they have not been able to find anything. And the same, of course, can be said for Arab Golden, but it is going to be those utilities, those grenades getting sent in from Slime 4KT to pick up the knock onto Ban. This could be their play to make now, as it is going to be Slime sneaking through the grasses, takes a bit of a swing over onto its triple, connects up with Vibes. And see whether or not Slime are going to be in a position to replicate their efforts, as they've not had the opportunity to play on the previous Erangel, but so far they are coming in swinging into the second one.
Oh, Powerboy going down as well. Slime 4KT just looking at anyone and everyone to take some eliminations. Unfortunately, Plaza now being caught out in the open thanks to Triple Esports, who once again still have a very good position. They are managing their numbers as all of these teams are applying the pressure, trying to find and vie for the angle within the zone. Arab Golden now the next on Myth's list, but the crosses are there. Myth get eliminated out. Legends of War still in this alongside Arab Golden, who've just picked up those 3 eliminations.
Oh, but it ain't over until it's over. Slime on 1, 0 on 1. Arab sitting with 3 players. Potentially could get that race through on towards Ban. It's going to take a lot of work, and they succeed in doing exactly that. But Triple look like they've got this one under lockdown, right? 4 players up, 3 eliminations to their name. They are positioned within that zone, and they are absolutely favored where that zone is. Now let's see whether or not they can hold on. It is going to be quite a bit of a push coming through. As we can see, Angelo trying to reach across. It is going to be Zero Tolerance to get sent away in 5th place. Down they go. Paradox bidding their farewells. A Triple hunkering down, trying to spread themselves out. They're coming in with a nice bit of a 2-2 split. That's an absolutely favorable play to be making at this point. But it's going to be Storm, though, to reach across and pick up Flick.
Oh, that is a bit of a weird one, because I was thinking that Legends of War might be the thorn in Triple Esports' side. Going through from that flank, they were in a prime position to help take Triple Esports out for the count. But of course, I guess if there's an elimination in your wake, if you can take it, you're going to take it. So of course, the reach comes through. And now Triple Esports, as we mentioned, still 4 players up. Again, the only closest competitor could be Arab Golden, but this care package literally dropped on a silver platter here for Triple Esports. They have everything going for them at this point in time.
Yeah, quick opportunity to get a bit of that reset happening, upgrading the gear, and just patching up whatever needs to be patched. But Storm going to be making a slow, steady approach, trying to get themselves situated, moving in towards that eastern side. A lot of attention being shown on towards this more western position, as we can see Triple situated there alongside Arab. Lashin going to be holding on for dear life on towards the northern edges. 7 Reef spots out a bit of movement, spots a few of those pixels. Ooh, right on the foot of Storm. Not taking the shot because they don't have confirmation just yet, but this could be the play. And maybe locking in that 5th elimination now for Triple. It's going to be up to 7 Reef just to move in, trying to inspect the angles, making sure before they hit. You can hear those shots now getting fired off. The teams trying to lock in, maybe bait each other out. But Arab Golden just tightening up their position. I'm pretty sure Storm is going to get caught in the crossfire pretty soon.
Absolutely. You see already a little bit of damage being dealt, and Angelo, the final nail in the coffin, will be placed by them to take out Slime 4KT. Legends of War still in this with the solo as well. So Arab Golden now being reduced down to 2 in the midst of this push coming through to try and get closer and closer to Triple Esports. As we know, unfortunately, they have no other choice. The zone is forcing their hand, and Triple Esports have the closest members to center new zone as they sit and wait with a very good amount of hard cover compared to the rest of these players.
Yeah, well, we know Triple Esports, they took the 2nd place in the previous Erangel, coming in with those 7 eliminations. So this time, pretty close to it, sitting on 5. Still a few opportunities lies ahead of them. But let's see if they can secure 3 eliminations moving in, pushing themselves on towards 8, and maybe going for that winner chicken dinner, looking to double down on their efforts here. I'm loving the spread coming through, though. Great awareness being shown here by Triple Esports. Oh, but look at this ban about to get spotted out, but instead spots out the first player. They're quick to hit, but down they go. Now M7 inching their way on forward. They know they found one. There could be more in the grass. As we can see, of course, there's going to be Angelo to get spotted up ahead. The shots fly, but they're not sufficient. Angelo quick with the response. Legends of War getting taken down. Triple Esports now reduced down to 2. The elimination comes in, and with that, Triple doubles their efforts, locks in the chicken dinner, and does so in beautiful, beautiful fashion. As we can see, of course, locking in 7 eliminations. So bringing in the same amount of aggression they had in the previous visit over on Erangel, but this time succeeding in securing themselves that winner chicken dinner.
Gonna give a shout out to both Triple Esports and Titan Gaming, who won our 2 Erangels from yesterday and now have officially won 2 Erangels of today as well. So fantastic work coming through from these respective teams as they continue that consistency in a fashion I was not expecting. But beautiful work coming through from the teams there. And Triple Esports, again, just prime position for them, and that comes from those early rotations that they were focusing on.
Yeah, I'm really loving the plays that Triple Esports are bringing through here, being able to improve their performance. I mean, there's not much further than you can go than a second place. Well, the only other stop is going to be to take that winner chicken dinner, and they did exactly that. But we're going to be taking a very quick break, so be sure to stay tuned, and we'll be right back afterwards with our final match of the day.
If only I had a weapon, I would take over the punching kick.
That's nothing. I clearly took down the enemy. If we were to keep the score, we'd definitely be higher than me.
If I hadn't thrown the wrong grenade, I'd be eating chicken dinner for sure. What's wrong, guys?
If you don't agree, listen to Ultimate Arena.
Arguments don't matter. Ultimate Arena decides the victor.
Hello and welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Pro League Africa Fall Season for 2022. We've just concluded our 4th match of the day. Of course, our 2nd Erangel for the day. And we saw Triple Esports just reigning supreme, locking it in, doubling up their efforts from our first, well, technically our 2nd Erangel, then succeeding on that 3rd one. Got 2nd place, followed up by a chicken dinner. So absolutely glorious efforts being brought in here by Triple Esports. But that, of course, means, right, pretty soon we're going to be taking a look to see just how many points all our teams were able to secure. But before we get into any of those, we need to give a big shout out going out to our sponsors. So, of course, we need to give our shout outs to Oppo. So, with Born to Win, welcome to the exciting match brought to you by Oppo. Get your gamer mode on with the much loved Reno 7 series. And also, a big shout out going out to Monster Energy, our official energy drink partner for the PUBG Mobile Pro Leagues. Now, is an absolutely action-packed game that we just saw over on Erangel.
Absolutely, and I'm very impressed by the teams and, of course, Triple Esports' ability to manage those final zone pushes, because they did need to make quite a quick jump into the zone to get themselves in that prime position. But we can take a look at those match rankings to just remind ourselves how it turned out for Triple Esports, picking up 7 eliminations, ended them on, of course, those 22 pointers. And even though we did have Slime for KT getting taken out in those final moments, they still managed to pick up 10 eliminations, so that lands them on that nice 18 to round off Erangel.
Yeah, but a very aggressive push coming through from Titans and Leaders Esports once again, right? As you can see, those double-digit elims coming in, 12 and 10 respectively. That's going to be worth quite a few points, but I mean, Leaders Esports at least walking away with 10 points here, right? 10 placement points. Unfortunately, not finding any eliminations, but that sneaky approach that we saw from them, just being able to get themselves situated in towards that last zone. Lashin really doing a great job bringing in the points and bringing them home for Leaders of War.
Absolutely. And again, it's just so good to see these names jumping into these final moments and jumping into these points of the page. But of course, we can take a look at the second page. Unfortunately, some teams didn't have the momentum they were wanting for. We did have Wave Esports picking up a huge 4 eliminations, a squad wipe coming on through, as well as Virtual Gaming and 1 million, with Mad Knight picking up some fantastic eliminations as they moved on through the rest. Of 1 million, of course, had a little bit of spat on Everest, so it was quite fun to see that actually coming to fruition finally, with all of the jumps we've seen them go with Everest.
Yeah, and of course, speaking about the excitement, let's take a quick look at our highlights. Of course, starting right off where we were talking about just now, up on Everest. It was 1 million, Wave, it was Slime, it was Black, the players there from Desert Flame, all stepping up, looking to see who's going to claim that title as the king of the hill. But, I mean, we saw some beautiful defensive plays coming through once more as we had the players there from Virtual Gaming stepping up, finding those sprays. But unfortunately, as we know, not really being able to get much further than that, getting taken out in that 12th position.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough spat here for the last moments of Erangel. As we know, the teams had to deal with some very awkward open angles, you know, only snaking through the grass, looking for whatever cover they managed to find. But I am impressed by the way that we saw, you know, Arab Golden handling themselves in those final moments, picking up a few of those eliminations, finding either Slime 4KT or Legends of War, and really just capitalizing and maximizing whatever points they could find in that really tough scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it's always challenging trying to bring in good consistency, even if you find yourself in a less than favorable position. But I'm liking the fact that teams are committed to succeeding, right? Regardless of what the zone throws at them, regardless of what the opposing teams throw at them, they will continue to find a way to get themselves into wherever it is that they are hoping to get. So, got to commend the players there from Arab Goldens for showing that determination. We saw them pushing up from that southern edge. But of course, now we're also going to be taking a quick look to see what our overall point situation is after our 4th match of the day.
And we've had quite a few of those gaps being closed as we moved on through. Of course, Slime 4KT joining the 200s club, with one too far off in terms of those 20 points to get there as well. And Triple Esports, wow, closing a massive gap there, sitting just 3 points behind 1 million Esports. Of course, there's some good consistency coming through from the rest of the teams. We can see like Leaders Esports still finding themselves on this page, Wave Esports as well. That momentum they started building in the last few days alongside Myth and Soul Esports has paid off as we find them in the top 8.
Yeah, I mean, momentum definitely starting to pay off considerably here. But now we need to take a look and see what the situation is. Because, I mean, 1 million still showing a super aggressive play coming through with their 100 eliminations. But Titans doubling up on that one, coming in with 117. And now as we move into our second page, we can see just how close these teams currently find themselves with regards to their positions on the standings. Of course, sitting up in that 9th position is going to be the players there from VST, situated on 122 points to their name. And that is exactly what we see the players from Soul Esports also sitting with up in 8th.
And again, so many hundreds clubs. You know, we've had so many of these points now coming to fruition for these teams. Finding, you know, players like Super Young Stars, TEAMLAG here towards the 14th, and Arab Golden in 13th. I feel like that final push for the top 12 can still occur. I mean, Blackjack Esports sitting on 99 and Arab Golden just 87 points. So that final little bit of a push to get themselves into the top 12, to get themselves into an opportunity where they can take part in living for those bonus points is still on the plates.
Yeah, definitely do agree with you on that one. But you know, we've really been seeing the teams throughout the entirety of today bring in so much more of a calculated play moving in, right? And that is also quite evident looking at our other teams sitting below the Super Young Stars, right? We've got Darkness, the players from Mad Knight, Legends of War, as well as Desert Flame Esports. But we're having a few swaps and changes coming through as well. And it's going to be that opportunity once again for the teams to make up for any of those deficiencies moving in towards Sanhok. So let's take a look at that 3rd page and see what the situation is on that front. Of course, as I said, right, Darkness sitting up towards that 17th position, but only 4 points away from the players of Super Young Stars. Also, only 7 points away from catching up to 15th place. As we can see then, Mad Knight pretty much in contention. Legends of War moving up into 19th place.
Hey, a little bit of a jump from where we found them earlier on to today. So I am loving that we are still seeing these pushes coming through. Again, I feel like it's on the cards for a few of these teams to close those gaps even further and maybe topple and swap some positions as we move into Livik. Maybe we might have a very surprising set of teams taking part. I am impressed by Legends of War for making such a bit of a splash in these last few maps. They picked up some great eliminations, managing some really difficult situations, and then even in the final moments, making it so difficult for Triple Esports to go for that winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, super challenging play, but of course, right, all is going to be revealed as we get ready to move into our final match of the day. Looking over on towards Sanhok for a little bit of that crazy jungle action to find its way onto the battlefield. And as we know, we are going to be moving straight in towards that to see exactly what the teams will have in store for us.
Oh, I do love a little bit of Sanhok action. We started with this yesterday, and it was absolutely jam-packed with action and energy from these teams, and now we get to finish off. So just a nice, very green day that we've had, DK, with Erangel and Sanhok.
Yeah, definitely quite a bit of a day coming through. But, I mean, this is going to be the opportunity for the teams to play it out as we see that zone revealing itself over on towards the southwestern side. And this is quite an interesting shift, right? Because this is going to be really forcing a lot of focus to come in towards Painan, where VST already find themselves.
And I do like that we have the trifecta involved. You know, there's some very good opportunities for the zone to be absolutely jam-packed with action. I mean, even Seoul Esports finding themselves there towards Ruins. We've got Slime 4KT, of course. They're closer towards Camp Alpha. So interesting points, I would say, as we move into these next phases. Curious to see where that's going to pull. I would prefer trifectas to still be involved. We do see a little bit of contention there happening with 1 million. So a little bit of something. Mad Knight obviously losing a player there. So unfortunately, they'll have to just continue with 3 players moving into the rest of Sanhok. And yeah, the team's staying very close to the edge of the zone. I mean, ready for a quick jump potentially into it.
Well, let's see how this one unfolds. Of course, not too much of an aggressive push coming in, but we do have a little bit of paradise action, right? It is going to be leaders now looking to see what they can do, but already Wave popping off, picking a few hits on towards the players there from Lag towards that eastern side of the zone. But let's see what Paradise has in store for us, as it is Morteza, who showed quite a bit of aggression over on Erangel. Now, just keeping a bit of a quiet angle here, right? Doesn't want to get found out just yet. Instead, going to be waiting for a few of those reinforcements to arrive before taking the play against the players here of Legends of War.
Yeah, just looking for those angles here to work with. As we know, having to manage what you are open to and what you have a capability of actually taking a hold of has been an issue for some of the teams in the past who have now adapted and polished those issues out. Same has to happen here for Legends of War and Leaders Esports as they move into each other's territory. As we know, a lot of nooks and crannies here with Paradise, a lot of opportunities for teams to lie in wait and hide around the corner to potentially take you out as the teams are moving forward and looting up. However, I am curious to see if Shadowman's actually going to be making this jump right into Powerboy.
Well, let's see how this one goes. Powerboy now trying to strafe around, but gets taken right on up. And there we go, Leaders looking to mount the aggression even more so. Like I say, Legends, I mean, even though they've been reduced down to 2 players, they're still putting up quite the fight here, right? Not going to be backing out of it just yet. We are seeing a quick bit of a reposition for them moving a little bit further down south. But I think that's going to be providing them with the opportunity to just reassess this whole situation.
Absolutely. Just take a little bit of cognizance of, okay, this is how it's turned out. Do we really want to keep investing into this? Like, what is in it for us at this point in time? A9Q now and Zane doing a little bit of a stare down competition here. But unfortunately for A9Q, the rest of Blackjack will be moving into this location as well and has spotted A9Q out. So a quick little, just around the corner blast from Chrono will confirm that down. So a little bit of opportunities here for Lag, though. They still have 2 players left. They can still move this a little bit further.
Yeah, they could definitely try and move that one up. Let's see how this goes. I mean, so not all hope is lost for Lag at this point. And I mean, Fantasy 1-9, they are quite isolated from the rest of the squad, so they can actually bring in quite a bit of a longevity into display here. But as we see, it's going to be Wave now looking to get aggressive as they move up. turning their attention right onto the final players here from Triple Esports. Is this going to be the play, though, for Waves to secure themselves the points? No, instead, it is going to be the hit to come through on Rhino and Zakaria being so far away. Wow. Let's see. This could be, I think this could maybe be that opportunity now for Vibes to quickly regather themselves, regroup, and then apply the pressure onto Zakaria.
Just confirms satisfaction when a pump shotgun is involved. Oh, I just love it. It's been so good these last few days to see these just quick hits coming through from these crazy shotgun plays. Now, of course, Zakaria just trying to sneak on around. Vibes doing the exact same thing, looking for that confirmation and obviously looking for a little bit of loot to get themselves set up and ready for this fight. And either way, whether we have Triple going out here or Wave going out here, this is a massive competitor that the rest of the teams are not potentially going to have to worry about, which is crazy to me. We just had Triple Esports take their way to win a chicken dinner. We just had Wave pick up an insane amount of eliminations previously. So, yeah, it would be a big loss in terms of, the competitive level that we've been seeing. But the rest of the teams now would be able to take a very much needed opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. You got to be looking to try and capitalize on any opportunities they can find, right? But I'm not quite sure if Waves are going to be able to push this one. I mean, I thought that Waves would have tried to capitalize on that knock on Rhino. But it doesn't seem like they were actually looking to close it up just yet. I'm loving the way that it's turning out, though. I mean, we've seen quite a bit of effort being brought in by both Wave and Triple Esports for the duration of today. So I don't think this is going to be too much of a detrimental play for either of these teams.
No, look, opportunities here, right? Definitely lying in wait. As we can see, this is all happening just outside of Barnes. So the rotation they will have to make after this regarding whoever is going to be left still alive and kicking will be a pretty safe one. I would say the only team they really have to worry about is leaders, who are obviously rotating off of Paradise Island, looking a little bit closer towards bootcamp vibes. It's lying in wait, waiting to see what Wave Esports might be doing first, and Wave basically doing the same thing. They don't necessarily want to make the first move in this situation. And for the time being, they have the time to make that happen. They're not going to be interrupted by anyone just yet.
Well, it is a little bit of a stalemate, as we saw before, right? We've seen stalemates on Erangel. We've seen stalemates on Miramar. But now, this is a different kind of stalemate, right? It's not too often that we see Sanhok stalemates really come into play here. But actually, I'm quite surprised to have this happen. And the rest of the lobby, they're going to be relatively quiet for the time being, right? No one going to be pushing up too aggressively. And this is definitely not what I was expecting moving in on towards this final game of the day, over on towards Sanhok. Because as we know, these 16 teams, this is their last play, their last opportunity today to lock in whichever points they can find. But it does seem like Wave are going to be looking to disengage. But actually, we have the players then from Legends of War starting to move down from that southern side. But I think they're going to be prioritizing the position towards zone instead of exploring the territory to where we had Triple Esports.
And looking at this now, a little bit of a movement, a little bit of a shift and disengage happening with Triple Esports and Wave. In the meantime, Seoul Esports just keeping their eyes peeled here on Broly from Myth. A little bit closer there towards Samid, looking at a potential rotation, as the rest of Myth is a little bit more south. And Seoul Esports just looking to hold their position as they rotated from Ruins. We do have Mad Knight making an approach here to that trifecta. Slime 4KT still teetering back and forth between Camp Alpha and maybe looking at a swim across, and 1 million out in the zone with Legends of War and Wave.
Ooh, well, I mean, this is Sanhok, right? So you don't want to spend too much time out in that blue zone. As we know, it does really rank up the damage quite a bit. But as we can see, the pushes will continue to come through, or the rotations. But I'm interested to see what's happening towards that Mad Knight one-round position, right? Trifecta, it's always an interesting angle for teams to play at. But strangely enough, we haven't seen a lot of teams really rotating in towards Pi None. I thought that VST were going to be having their hands absolutely filled up with players moving into that region, potentially looking to rotate on through. But it does seem like they've been somewhat blessed. And Blackjack moving in on the edge, keeping that angle still on the players there from Darkness. With Desert Flame also just keeping a nice and steady position.
I love that we still got trifecta up in this zone. And of course, we can turn our attention to exactly that point, which is currently housing Mad Knight and One Round. Who, One Round, yeah, they could take it out a little bit earlier than we were expecting in the previous map. And now they have an opportunity to redeem themselves. This time, they have to face Mad Knight to make that happen.
Well, let's see. Is this going to be on the books for them? E-Flex, there we go. Finds the knock on towards Ammo win. We got Kingerman and the Beast now also just trying to find this position to play. E-Flex, that off-angle position absolutely working wonders for the reach down on towards Mad Knight. But could this be the play for the Beast now to send that nade in towards Moha and Chico? Up it comes, flies in. Oh, Moha jumps straight into that. And with that, of course, right in front of the barrel for the Beast. Another shot continues. Chico almost getting taken down. And this is the kind of bounce back we want to see from the teams come in.
Oh, One Round just looking to capitalize on as much as they possibly can. The Beast, of course, we know what they've been able to do in the past. Now, a lot of eyes are on them as they need to try and recover the situation. Kingman has gone down. Everyone back up on their feet, trying to back up the Beast, who is now, well, nearly being lit on fire here by One Round, who are trying to get the space they need to get these reses to actually happen.
Oh, there we go. The Beast now trying to lay it on as thick as they can find it. It's going to be down to Chico and E-Flex. As we saw, E-Flex quite some distance away, so not quite sure whether or not E-Flex will be able to bring any helping hands to the situation. But up comes the Beast now, looking for Chico. Does come up with a DBS. We've already seen it in the hands of Carl, but here we go. Chico now makes the full-on send, defending the team, and with that, laying waste to the Beast, putting the players there from Mad Knight on quite a bit of a back foot now.
Absolutely. As they move on through, Amberwin and Kingerman have to make that approach if they do want to continue just putting the pressure on One Round, who are trying to get their HP bars back up. A res has already happened onto Moha, and of course, Knight now the next up for a potential res. Those nades are going to be cooked. Molly's going to be sent out, trying to make the connection to Moha, who's taking so much damage thanks to that beautifully placed Molly. Now they just need to follow up with Chico and potentially Knight.
I'm loving the fact that Mad Knight, Ammo winning Kingerman, rotated up in anticipation of Beast facing a bit of a challenge here. But here we go now. Ammo win finds the trade right onto Knight. Chico, in turn, finds the hit onto it's Kingerman. And now it's going to result in a 1v1 play going at it here. Ammo win and Chico getting ready to face off. Let's see who will be able to lock in trifecta. But they have to be super quick about it, because we can see the players from Leaders rotating in as well.
Oh, Leaders, they've obviously heard all of this action, rotating into the trifecta to try and get that central position in the zone, and they can smell some blood, they can smell some third-party action. It is Sanhok after all. Amuin and Chico now, unfortunately, they need to finish this up, or they need to disengage if they want to keep hopes alive, but they don't yet have this information that Leaders are on their tail. For the time being, they're trying to loot up, they're trying to get themselves set up. A little bit of tunnel vision might be their downfall here.
Well, let's see whether or not that it's going to be tunnel vision or success vision, or maybe chicken dinner vision, right? It could be any kind of vision, but it is going to be that zone now swinging back over towards bootcamp. 1 million surprisingly still positioned out in that blue zone, but this is going to be that opportunity now. Ooh, for Morteza to come sneaking in and take down Mad Knight as they get sent away, bags packed and ready to roll. Chico now sent it up alongside this wall, waiting in anticipation to see what is going to happen as Leaders move on forward. But Chico actually at quite a bit of a disadvantage at this point, right? The Slime is also moving in from the opposite end of that waterway.
Ooh, rotations are going to make this trifecta position absolutely crazy. As you can see, it's all Esports now finding Myth, looking for an opportunity here as they do this 2-2 split, and Raouf and Tweaks very close to Farok and looking for an opportunity here. The nades are going to get sent out. A warning, do not move further. We are trying to get ourselves set up here. Come on. As Myth obviously push on back and try and give themselves as much space as possible.
Yeah, so Myth now really on the defensive position here. They've already lost one player, but that's not going to be too devastating for them. However, they need to find the position, right? They need to find a bit of an elevation to play at here. But it does seem like they are going to be opting into that vehicle, trying to make a quick and hastily escape. Oh, but they're not being able to stay in the vehicle. Oh, how's this going to play out? I'm not quite sure what the strategy was with that one. I thought that they committed to pushing away with that vehicle. Maybe that was a bit of a bait and switch strategy coming in here. They do, however, get spotted on out. The shots connect on through, and Hemo just lays waste to Farok and Moment, and now it is going to be Ramsey feeling the brunt of the pressure coming through.
And they don't even have an easy way to disengage from this opportunity. This position that they're currently holding, Hemo just around the corner, can just make a dash and then be backed up immediately with the rest of the team. And never mind, Rauf just said, guys, don't worry, okay, I got this. I'm just gonna do it. We don't even need to waste bullets in this situation. Seoul Esports picking up a beautiful team wipe as they move on into the rest of this crazy action-packed Sanhok.
Yeah, Seoul definitely looking to bring in those strong efforts once again. But of course, speaking about efforts, right, it is going to be the players here from Legends of War facing quite a bit of a challenge, having to get themselves out of that blue zone. Darkness also getting enveloped here as the blue moves on forward. Mowing right here alongside them, but Flick still on the opposite end of Quarry. Not quite sure whether or not Flick is going to be able to survive the damage being dealt by the blue, but we see on that southern edge, also Blackjack and VST about to start facing off in Painan. So an extra bit of excitement could be just around the corner as the teams continue to push and push, looking to get themselves situated in the zone.
Ooh, opportunities lying in wait right now for so many teams. As you mentioned, we're moving in closer and closer into that zone. And I am going to be placing a little bit of focus on what Slime 4KT are going to be doing, as they are one of the last teams to make that dash into the zone. And yeah, that shift is really going to favor leaders who are sitting smack bam center with a prime position. A lot of shifting coming through, obviously, from that eastern and southern part of the zone, and it's going to get packed very, very quickly.
Yeah, they are going to be running out of options, running out of plays here. But as you can see, we got 1-9. Also just outside in that blue zone. Not quite sure if they're going to be able to make it back in towards the zone. So we could see a little bit of that heal strat being brought through. But I mean, 1-9 doesn't have the craziest amount of meds. So I don't think that that is really on the cards, at least not at this point in time. But Blackjack and VSC in a little bit of a staring contest here, right? Both teams well aware that there's someone up ahead of them, but no one really full sending and overly committing to the aggression.
Absolutely. No one really wants to be the first team to step in and get themselves taken out potentially. But of course, VST laying waste to Lag, who is still trying to rotate into the zone and, well, immediately getting turned on as Blackjack just jumps into the action. And there's a trade back and forth between both of these teams. So there's some contentious opportunity for either to get out of here and move on forward.
Yeah, that's what we want to see, right? We want to see the teams just sticking up and just laying those hits on in. But it's going to be up to what Blackjack is going to be looking to do on this very edge, right? They do have a slight positional advantage here towards VST, but they need to be careful because we see the players from Seoul moving in alongside them as well. As you can see, Rauf and the rest of the team now just having their ears at the ready, listening at the shots going down. But it's going to be Hansley now to fall victim to the spray, and this could be that turning point, but also the opportunity for Blackjack now to look to capitalize.
Ooh, the opportunity is just, oh, I love it. This is an opportunity now for Blackjack to move on forward as well, with some great eliminations that they picked up now with VST, who are stuck out in the zone, having to move on forward and trying to just find a navigation that they can take. They can take a swim if they want, but it's going to be such a risky play because, of course, Seoul Esports holding that coastline, well, if you can call it a coastline, just that river line, as they would try and make that rotation. Blackjack now seeing all of this right up ahead of them, and with that position in zone, can take this further, and leaders from center zone, they're picking apart 1 million.
Oh yes, I mean, leader looking pretty phenomenal at this point, taking such good coverage there. So you can see them just spread out on that bootcamp hilltop. Shadowin is going to be firing across over on towards Marshall and the rest of the players there from 1 million, getting some pretty successful hits. But of course, VSC now trying to retaliate in hopes that they can make enough of a gain against the Seoul team to stop this assault.
Oh, okay. Let's take a little bit cognizance of what's happening here. Seoul Esports, of course, outside of zone, has to make a push in, but there's so many teams. Just the perfect angle to explain this. Thank you so much to the observers. Leaders Esports coming through from that high rise, being able to see all of these teams right up ahead of them, and they've had center position of the zone for so long. And of course, that advantage still on Blackjack. They have to deal with VST, though, to give them the space to work in.
Yeah, and they of course now have to deliver on that front. As it is going to be VST pushing in full send, trying to get themselves situated back in the zone. But out comes the nades. Kronel finds the head on towards Hainsley. Here we go. Let's see whether or not this is going to be the play for Blackjack rather to be making, as VST finds the angle on towards Phoenix. A fair trade either side. You do have Kronel just waiting on the opposite end of the wall, ready to receive. Oh, but gets baited out. Down they go. Fevo vaulting over the wall, pushing in and gets that confirmation. Blackjack not looking too great at this point. And up comes the hits. MG is down. Zane takes damage and they fall. VST rushing forward, 6 eliminations strong.
Oh my goodness, this is the performance we've been waiting to see from VST, who started these first couple of days of the first week so strong. But now Seoul Esports pulling up on this and looking for a couple of feet shots there as they do find the connection on towards Hansley, who've just managed to get up to those stairs for a potential res. And of course, Fever and It's a Boot in this compound trying to look for that space as Seoul Esports are just dashing in for a potential.
I'm loving this push coming through. It's going to be YC and Rauf on the front line. Vivo, It's a Boot holding the aggression here, holding the defensive positions as well. But Hemo opting for a bit of a heel strat off in the distance. Up comes the strategy, the shots, the pain connects up. And it is going to be absolute torment on the players here from Seoul, as VST are still able to defend their position. Not going to be falling down just yet. But this could be that opportunity now for VST to quickly reset, re-strategize, and now wrap it up with Rauf and Twigs. But Hemo still going to be out in the blue.
Leaders Esports in the meanwhile have moved into that southern part of the zone right alongside Slime 4KT, as we can see. So they still hold that high-rise position, but they will be potentially just dashing it out and fighting it out for controlling points. And in the meanwhile, of course, Zol and VST right on top of each other, literally, as we move into the southern point of the zone.
Oh, it's down to our final 5 teams actually trying to duke it out in the zone itself. Let's see where this is going to go. It is going to be the Sharks coming through as Fivo gets the hits. It's a boot, connects on through. Let's see now the rush coming in. Twigs just off in the distance, but a quick duck coming in there as It's a Boot is trying to get themselves back in towards that zone. It is going to be Desert Flame to fall next. Down to the final 5 we go. 1 million still in contention here, but look at the sprays right down on towards Slime 4KT rather, as Cal, our DBS master, gets absolutely obliterated, but a quick response then being delivered by Storm.
And VST down to It's a Boot, looking for the res and looking for an opportunity to bolster their numbers. Slime 4KT, of course, being confirmed out. Leaders Esports still pushing from this high rise into the zone, into the compound that VST has been surviving in for all of this time. And now they're up to 2. We've, of course, got Soul and 1 million out in the blue zone, just holding off for a bit of a heal off strat. So we are going to be focusing exclusively on leaders with 3 and VST with 2 for this winner-winner chicken dinner.
Well, here we go, right? It is that final showdown. It is pretty much leaders having to push in. It's a Boot and Fivo. They're from VST, holding on the opposite end. It's going to be a 3v2 fight to the finish. 11 eliminations already secured for leaders. They're going to be looking to take even more victims alongside them. But let's see. Could they succeed? Morteza trying to reach across with those utilities, getting ever closer to Fivo, but It's a Boot using this opportunity now to get themselves just inched onto the very side there. I'm not seeing Soul really making a comeback at this point in time, but there we go. It is going to be 1 million to get eliminated. Fivo getting pushed as that blue zone is closing on up. Nowhere really to go. Absolutely cornered in that wall. But this could be the game, right? Leaders now just need to keep their focus, push on forward, and close it out. Carry Boy about to get surprised. Up comes the hits. He's not able to retaliate. And down they go. It's a Boot. Trades them down. 2v2. The fight for the zone. Oh, Fever picked up. And it is now all riding on It's a Boot. Let's see whether or not this is going to come through. So far, VST looking pretty confident. It's a Boot gets spotted. Off it goes. It is going to be leaders to walk away with an absolutely glorious finish. 13 eliminations to their name. Hemo just going to be sealing his fate there, locking in that second position, bring in that heel strat, and the match is about to end.
Yeah, Leaders Esports Seoul, absolutely fantastic performance coming through from them. Great eliminations on top of the fantastic placement points that they've picked up. And yeah, Hemo just doing a little bit of a side to side, jumping into the zone, seeing if they can get closer and closer. But it's going to go to Leaders Esports. And once again, that consistency that they've been showing has come to fruition as they pick up another winner chicken dinner.
Well, not only that, right, but they were also able to find that final elimination, taking out the final player rushing forward, right? And it was such a sneaky play coming through, but a well done, a very well-deserved winner chicken dinner coming over to the players there from Leaders. I mean, Leaders, they've been showing a lot of growth. We were talking about it yesterday as well. Leaders really finding that momentum, and it looks like today they're really driving so hard to secure those points.
Absolutely. And again, I'm so curious to see how that's going to change up on the overall leaderboard. But for the time being, we are going to jump to a quick break while we get ready with all of that very important mathematics in the background that I do not have to thankfully do. And when we come back, we'll discuss it and go through our final standings.
Stalemate? No problem. Ultimate Arena decides the victor.
Cause we're better together, better as one, better together, better as one, better together, better as one, better together, better as one.
How can I save you when you're tangled in your lies? Caught up in the middle, I can see it in your eyes. Lonely in the corner, waiting for somebody to come.
Hello and welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Pro League Africa Fall Season for 2022. We just came back from our final match of the day in which we saw the players there from Leaders Esports dominating over on Sanhok. Absolutely beautiful sort of events we had working in their favor there. And of course, speaking about how beautiful it was, right? We need to take a look and see what our overall match rankings were coming in at this last match. How many points these teams were able to secure. And of course, Leaders just taking an absolute runaway performance there with 14 eliminations to their name. VST taking them on, right? Head on, locking in a nice bit of a performance with those 9 eliminations, and so also just making it into that last zone alongside a little bit of a sneaky dash, right? Bringing in that heel strat, but unfortunately falling victim to the sprays. Bring in that 14th elimination for Leaders Esports.
And it was an absolutely explosive performance from a lot of these teams, especially like kudos to VST for surviving as long as they did. I mean, they had so many teams gunning for their position there towards the end, as well as Seoul Esports. But looking at this set of, obviously rankings, I am curious to see how that second page is going to look and how the teams did manage to set up their scores moving into this last map of the day. Of course, we know there's still 5 maps, or technically 6 maps tomorrow, but not everyone is going to have an opportunity to play the 6 or play all 5. So as we take a look at that second page, we can see how many points these teams at least ended off with. So Darkness finding that 3, Arab Golden finding 3 alongside 1 round, and then it starts to trickle off quite quickly. As we know, Triple Esports and Myth got eliminated very early on, didn't really have the opportunity, and Lag just got absolutely paneled there from VST towards the ending phases.
I mean, a little bit of a pummeling is not always a bad thing, right? I mean, it's sometimes needed just to bring a little bit of balance in to the whole situation. But yes, I mean, it is Sanhok. It is sometimes quite surprisingly challenging. And we did see a lot of those efforts coming through in towards Paradise in that early stage of the game. It resulted in quite a bit of excitement, but as we know, not the most favorable kind of play coming through for the players there from Triple Esports. But that is just how the cookie crumbles, right? But at the end of the day, we need to see the teams' points now accumulating in towards those overall rankings, because we know at the end of the day, that is what the teams are playing for, looking to get themselves really well situated, and especially moving into tomorrow, they want to be well within that top 12. And of course, as we can see, our leaders coming through here, Titan Gaming sitting on 220 points rich. Of course, Slime 4KT only trailing behind with 4 points. But there's a 2 winner chicken dinner difference. And I mean, Slime now finds themselves in the company of triple and quattro chicken dinner winners.
Wow, it was also the crazy focus is the shift in focus rather from these two teams. Obviously, Titan with 117 eliminations, Slime 4KT with 123 placement points. So we can see where they shift in focus and where they've been, picking up the most amount of points, where they've been really showcasing their grotto coming through into these last couple of maps. 1 million, of course, on 196, right? 3 points behind them. It is Leaders Esports. So between 1 and 2, we've got 4 points, splitting these two teams. Between 3rd and 4th, we have 3 points. And it starts to trickle down quite nicely. We do have a bit of a gap from 5th to 6th. But so far, it's still looking very contentious on this first page.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, a lot of pressure coming in. We can see there's a little bit of a fall off coming through between that 5th and 6th place. Almost 40-point difference. But I do believe that there is still going to be quite a bit of a shakedown coming through in tomorrow's games that we've got still to be played. And of course, as we now take a look at our second page, we can see a continuation of the efforts here. Still a very, very close situation with regards to that point distribution. We know 8th place is 139 points, so there is 13 points difference between 8th and 9th. That can all, of course, change in tomorrow's performances. But again, it's looking very healthy, right? Zero Tolerance, Super Young Stars, keeping it very, very close. Not too much of a separation between them and the position coming through for TEAMLAG. But as we know, it's going to be that ultimate push to look to see who's going to be our top 12 teams moving through towards Livik.
And right now, Blackjack Esports are setting that bar at 101 points. Again, Arab Golden, who's sitting in 13th, only 11 points away from reaching that. And as we move into tomorrow's games, I think we're still going to have that quick push or that aggressive push from the teams that are finding themselves in these positions to get themselves into Livik, to get themselves into bonus point territory. So I'm not too stressed for Arab Golden and TEAMLAG. I would be worried a little bit more if I was Zero Tolerance and Super Young Stars, because that is quite a sufficiently higher gap that they need to close. It's not impossible, definitely not. They have 4 maps that they're definitely going to play tomorrow, and in those 4 maps they can make up that level of points. But obviously the competition, that whether or not that's going to allow for it, whether or not they're going to be able to keep up with that competition to make such explosive maps, that's a whole different story, and that's up tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty much the situation that we're seeing, that there's our 20 teams being broken up into 3 particular grinds. We've got that first pointing situation from 1st to 5th. Then we've got a point system going all the way from that 6th position leading all the way to 14th. And then as we move into our second page, we can see continuation of our third group of teams, right? All the way from 15th, which is sitting on 59 points, to where we see the players from Desert Flame situated only 11 points away.
Yeah, very, very close and contentious. And looking at this, again, massive shout out to Legends of War. They made a very big splash for me today, jumping in and showcasing that they are able to, kick it with the big dogs, as we like to say, and, make sure that they stay competitive moving into these matches. So 4 more matches for them. I want to see both Legends of War and Desert Flame just push it, right? I'm not sure that they can really close that gap to top 12 unless they are planning something massive. It's still within the opportunity. But then at least use tomorrow's maps. At the very least, use it to get yourself into that momentum. Use that to get yourself into a position where you feel more comfortable moving into the maps in the next week, right? Just try out those strategies. See what's going on with you. See if better positions or better drop locations is what is going to give you that momentum back.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely for the team sitting on the lower end of that leaderboard, they definitely will have to double their points should they be trying to get themselves up into towards top 12. So it's not outside the realm of possibilities. Bringing in 49, 48 points in a single day across 4 games, it's still very well within the realm of possibilities, but it's going to take a lot of harder work and determination for the teams to succeed in accomplishing that goal.
Yeah, definitely. And as we mentioned, while they're trying to still close that gap between, 101 points, the rest of the teams are going to be bolstering that gap. They're going to be climbing the leaderboard. So that's why I said, again, I don't think that is necessarily possible that they're going to find themselves in the top 12, but it's still a good opportunity to play against a fantastic set of competitors and to bring themselves into a place where they feel more comfortable coming into next week's games.
Yeah, and we also know that the higher up the teams can get themselves situated, the more bonus points they'll be able to acquire along the way. But regardless of how this week plays out, right, regardless of tomorrow's results, I'm super excited to see how the teams are going to come back moving into that second week, right? The lessons they've learned now in these first 5 days of play. Yes, we're only on 4, but there's a lot that they've learned so far in this first week. And I want to see the result of that. I want to see the growth coming through in towards that next week. So I think next week we are going to be in for quite a ride, as we could have a few surprising performances coming in with teams stepping up to the challenge and just blowing us away. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Of course, we still have 1 entire day of play yet to go through, but that is going to be 6 matches, right? At the end of the day tomorrow, our top 12 teams are going to be progressing over in towards Livik, where they're going to be playing for a little bit more of a close quarter engagement, right? A little bit smaller map, slightly smaller than what we have on Sanhok, but I think it's going to be resulting in some pretty exciting gameplay.
As far as I understand, a Livik is a 2x2 instead of a 4x4 or an 8x8. So yeah, you could say it's a little bit closer than what we have on Sanhok. So the teams are going to be showcasing maybe a little bit more of that DBS focus, maybe a little bit more of those SMGs jumping in, and a lot more of that aggressive play to see how far they can actually push the limits moving into tomorrow's map. So definitely stick around for that, and of course to see how these teams are going to shape up their first week of bonus points, because I keep mentioning this because I think I'm still processing the fact that they can actually take foundational points. They can actually take some sort of an already set placement into the finals weekend, and that's going to depend on how they perform in these phase weeks. That is massive. Again, I can sit here for hours thinking how ridiculous that is, but it is a good opportunity for teams to put in the hard work now so that later on you have a little bit less stress. You might be able to get yourself in a position where you can just play consistent, and maybe still win. Who knows? Depends on how the rest of the competition is going to look, and depends on how the next few weeks are going to shape up.
Yeah, but I mean, adding to that stress though, right, it's going to be the entire group reshuffle coming into next week, right? So Group A that we saw this week is not going to be the same Group A coming into next week's performances. So there's going to be another opportunity for the teams to take it in a slightly different way, slightly different pairing moving into that next week of excitement. So this is going to be resulting into quite a challenge for these teams. And I got to say, this whole entire reshuffling of the process, to me, is absolutely amazing. The teams really having to shine, and I believe that we are seeing that consistent growth now being developed even more so. Yes, there is quite a bit of a disparity between the top and the bottom end of that leaderboard, but that's the first week, right? It can be a completely and utterly different situation moving into that second week. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself, so we still have one more day of action to go through. And tomorrow we are returning to a little bit more of a balanced kind of play, right? We're not having an Erangel or Miramar a heavy day coming through tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow we're going to be having 2 Erangels, 2 Miramars with a little bit of that Sanhok action, and then adding that extra spice of Livik into the mix as well.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be keeping an eye out on what Titan and Triple Esports are going to be doing, because as we know now, for 2 days in a row, they've been picking up winner chicken dinners. So, you know, the stats would continue to say, okay, well, surely tomorrow again, right? Same place, same time. We have to wait and see if Titans and Triple are going to be able to actually make that happen. If Slime 4KT is going to continue their fantastic positional play and their aggression that they've been bringing in, and if Desert Flame is going to have the answer to Slime 4KT's aggression as they keep finding each other on the map.
Well, I mean, I've got only one question, right? Where's this version of Slime 4KT been all this time, right? I'm so excited to see what the future holds for them progressing through this PMPL Africa season. But of course, with that is going to draw us to the end of this evening's proceedings. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed all the insanity as much as we did. We look forward to seeing you all back again tomorrow as we continue with our last day of the very first week of the PMPL Africa fall split for 2022. With that, have a great evening. See you all back again tomorrow.